Good evening. Go ahead and call this work session to order. At this time, notice about our heads for a moment of prayer. Heavenly Father, we'd like to thank you for allowing us to see another day, Heavenly Father. We ask you to be in the midst of this meeting, regulate our minds and heart. But Heavenly Father, we also ask you to bless this city that we live in, and also bless every council member up here along with their family, and everyone who's in the office along with their family. I ask you this blessings and many more. Amen.
Amen.
I'm going to tell you, it's going to be like Liz Taylor told her last husband. We ain't going to be here long tonight.
You just.
Okay, first, citizens request, Ms. Candy Duncan.
Okay.
Good.
Maybe I'm wrong side.
And here's my package goodie. I only have one copy.
Okay.
I'm sure the rest of the members in it. Mentally.
Well, maybe you won't even need it. Good evening, council members. I'm here this evening to ask for a directive about what to do about the $5,600 in grant monies that we were awarded for Art Camp 2019. If some of y'all may have received the email that I got from the mayor that said at this time we couldn't have the ceramic employees back, but as you'll see in that packet, the mayor's already signed off on the grants to receive the monies, and I need to know what we need to do.
Okay, usually like with any grants, if you sign off, you approve, and then you turn it and send it back. Chances are it's going to jeopardize in the future receiving any grants for it.
And I was given a directive when ceramics burned to do all I could to try to get monies and get grants. So when we had the art camp last year at Charlie Lucas's building,
Yes, ma'am.
I applied for grants to have camp this year because I didn't have time to do it last year. So I got 2 grants. I mean, we're awarded one from the Arts Council and one from Alabama Tom Bigby Group.
What's the total? You said 5?
One's for 2,000 and one's for 3,600.
So that combines.
Yes, 56. It's my understanding that the construction crew over at the Dallas Academy is going to be finished under their May 11th deadline. Ms. Thomas may know more about that than I do. I just happened to ask some of the people that were over there, but I feel like if we could get back in the Dallas Academy building, we would have more students because we have more classrooms over there than we have at Charlie Lucas's. Charlie Lucas's is a wonderful place. The children enjoy the artwork over there, but it's one big room. And so when we have separate classrooms, it makes it better to work with the children. And they enjoy it more when you can give them individual instruction. We turned in over $9,200 last year, which is less than we usually turn in because we had less children, because it was a different place, it was new. We usually turn in around 10, sometimes more than that, and same thing with the ceramic program, we usually turn in around $10,000, but not having ceramics, we were not able to turn in that amount. We have the opportunity, if we get in the Dallas Academy building, to have our full capacity of children, which would be 60 kids at each camp. So that's a potential of 125 times that. That's, you know, $18,000 right there. But, you know, if we can't get in that building, then that's another story, and we won't use the grant money. Y'all need to tell me what I need to do.
Also, what's that grant money allow you to hire?
Yeah, it provide, our normal budget for art camp is $8,000.
Okay.
And the grant money's total $5,600. Now, granted, one has to spend that amount of money and then prove that you spent it to get reimbursed. It's not a matching grant, but you have to spend it to get it back.
Yes, sir.
May I answer any other questions?
Any other questions? Councilwoman Benjamin?
What do you make up the $2,400 difference, Candy? Ms. Duncan today.
How would I make it up?
Where do you make it up in? I'm sure you do. Uh-huh.
I don't understand.
You said it's $8,000 total, you have $5,600?
That is correct.
Okay.
I've never had that problem before, but I mean, I would have to do something. And you know, last year, when we had it at Charlie Lucas's building, I did not know that we would have such a big power bill, and I had to come and ask y'all to help with the power bill, and you were gracious enough to pay the power bill at Charlie's building. He didn't charge us any rent or anything like that, but his power bill is around $28 every month, and it was over $1,400 for the 2 months of June and July.
So when you encounter the $2,400 difference, you'll just deal with it. If you have to, you'll just deal with it.
Well, that's what I, if I'm given the choice, yeah.
Okay, when does art camp start?
Well, normally, I have the brochures printed and will be distributed to the schools right now. I rarely ever distribute them after the 15th of April.
I mean, when does the camp start?
I have a camp in June and one in July. Usually it's the second week in June and the week after the 4th in July. But we fill up so quick most of the time, that's why we wait until the middle of April to hand the brochures out, and we hand them out on the same day to every school in the city and the county, so everybody has an equal opportunity to enroll.
Mr. President, I don't see, I know that the date, the May something date, she got that from just asking somebody. I don't see why, if that date is correct, that we can't just allow them to go ahead and move in. If that May, you said May 15th?
Well, we can work on getting ready for camp at Charlie Lucas's building, 9 Lauderdale, until we can get in the Dallas Academy building.
No, I mean, you were told that May something.
May the 11th.
May the 11th, so I don't see why, if that date is correct, Mr. President, we can't allow the camp to move back in if the date is correct and the work will be complete.
Any other questions, comments? Councilwoman Thomas, any questions?
No.
Okay, well, I have a question.
Shoot.
Okay, if I print a brochure and say I'm having camp, I need to know where it's gonna be.
You have to wait to the vote. We
Okay.
can't vote today.
Oh, I understand that, but just tell me when will I be waiting until, and, what should I do? You would be able to vote on it in the near future?
Well, he has to verify what you said. So
Okay.
we don't know if that date is true. We just
Okay.
told it to us.
I understand.
So he has to go and find out from the insurance company and.
You got a hand over there.
With the May 11th date.
Councilwoman Thomas.
Okay.
I wanted to ask a question. When the guys come down after they finish doing the work in the building, they're supposed to come down and inspect it. Okay, President Bowie, when this company comes down after the work's supposed to be done for the building, could the committee be present at that time when they meet to discuss with it, so they can be able to be ready to go into the building?
That's a good idea.
That's part of the recommendation, yes.
And this is what I'm putting on the floor as a recommendation, that the building committee will be able to meet with them when the date that they come. Could you put that in, request in writing? Okay.
Any other questions? Any other questions, comments?
So I think her question is still lingering.
I just have to wait. I'm still on hold.
Yeah, so it doesn't sound like it'll be tomorrow, but if it isn't, it seems like it could very well be the next meeting.
Okay, well, we'll deal with it. Thank you so much.
Don't want to turn in any grant money.
And thank y'all for the hard work.
All right. Next, we have Dr. Williams, Superintendent of the Selma City School, S.R.O.
Hello.
Hey, how you doing?
Great, how are you all? I've got a couple of handouts for you. I always like to give you something to read. And just a couple of articles about school resource officers. So you just take one and pass them down for me, please, sir. There's probably some extra ones, and you can save them for the folks that aren't here. But recently we did present to you all an MOU, a contract, an agreement to partner Selma City Schools with the Selma City Council and the Selma Police Department. And I've been working closely with Chief Collier to see what that partnership could look like. And in essence, what we would like to do is use school resource officers to help enhance safety and security within Selma City schools, particularly our secondary schools. Our goal would be to have 3 at Selma High School and 2 officers at R.B. Hudson Middle School. And these would, of course, be full-time trained school resource officers. The documents that I've given you, one is an article from the National Association of School Resource Officers that does discuss some of the benefits of fully utilizing resource officers in schools for safety. The other one is really looking at the effects that school resource officers have in schools, because there's some controversy. You know, oftentimes we think about school resource officers being in there just to arrest students, and that's certainly not our goal. Our goal is to have school resource officers who will become a part of the school culture in a positive way to help enhance the relationship that our young people have with police officers. You know, within our city, we know that we have safety is a major issue, which is of course tied to crime, and then education is another major issue. And our goal is to merge these two as a solution by having school resource officers that's promoting that safety and enhancing safety within our schools, while also giving our teachers and students an opportunity to take advantage of a high-quality education by not having to worry about safety factors. When I talk to families about their biggest concern with our schools, safety is always number one. That's the number one concern that I hear as it relates to attending Selma City schools right now. And we owe our citizens an answer, you know, to what we're doing as it relates to safety. And so I do know that, you know, when we look at finances, that there are challenges. But what I want to really implore you to do is to look at this as an investment in our schools, an investment in our city. Because when you consider the work that's being done with the Weed and Seed Group, for example, with U.S. Attorney Richard Moore leading that work, the weed portion is happening. We've got some task force that are in place that's working with crime within the city. The seeding part has to be about our economic development as well as improving education. And it's really a challenge for us to do that when we can't guarantee safe schools. And school resource officers will give us an opportunity to be able to do that. But I wanted to just come and talk to you to see if you had any specific questions that I could answer for you, because I think you all are getting close to being ready to vote on this matter. And my hope is that it will be a favorable vote whenever you do vote on it. And time is not on our side, because one thing that we would want to do is to have enough time to actually select the officers for this program, for the school resource officer program, and then of course have enough time to train them over the summer before school starts back. Selma City Schools will pay for half of the salary and benefits, and we will cover all of the training and resources for the officers. Which would be taken care of by either the National Association of School Resource Officers or another agency that does that same type of work. And there are a couple of other state and national agencies that do that type of work.
Also, too, council members, I have been meeting with U.S. Attorney Moore, along with the Chief Collier, and tomorrow we will be submitting a grant earmarked for community policing, and also to pay for one of the police officers, if approved, to go into the SRO, into the school system. We will submit the grant on tomorrow. Also included in that grant will be anti-gangs in the community. So we're looking at several grants that's going to be included once we submit it tomorrow to Attorney Moore. And one of the things that I advocated for is possible, you know, due to the fact that we have some financial challenges, that funding would equate for one of the officers, so it would hopefully alleviate our funding cycle and our budget. I feel strongly about that we will be able to get that funding through the U.S. Attorney. It would be strictly earmarked for that, and that would be strictly earmarked for that SRO officer, along with other seeding and weeding projects throughout the community. So the weed and seed, I feel like it's gonna play a big active role in not only curbing the crime, but also employing, avenues to help, you know, as far as educational avenues, and also with the community police, with the, SRO, get a chance to bond with the students and also serve as a role model. So,
Do we have a contract? If so, I'm not finished.
I would forward it to you because, I know Ms. Harrison did not print it out because I copied it down, but I'll forward it to you. You know,
Once we vote on this, how long is the training, and when is the training for these?
The training can take place over the summer, and more than likely, it would be somewhere within the state. They would likely go to Montgomery or another police department within the area. And the training is a matter of 4 to 6 weeks, depending on if they capture it all at one time or if they do the 4 weeks and then an additional 2 weeks at another time. But it can be done over the summer. And that would be our goal, would be to train them over the summer so that they can actually be in our schools by the latter part of July before our students return.
Mr. President, I think this would be money well spent, and I wholeheartedly support the concept, especially with the school providing half of the salaries of the officers. And not only that, I would think these officers, even though they would be affixed to the schools, there would be maybe 1 or 2 hours that they would be able to patrol our city. So I think this is a win-win situation. I do think once we get a contract in our hands, so we can look at it, so that we can look at the ins and outs of the contract, and we can move forward.
Councilwoman Benjamin and Councilwoman Jackson.
Dr. Williams has indicated that she has an expectation that we're on the verge of voting. I know that you mentioned talking to someone else about the 2 officers. So one was to the Attorney General. Did you talk to somebody else about the other one, or are we going to cast a vote? Oh, you have a new cleaning person. Or we're going to are we casting a vote concerning the other one? Tell me.
No, basically.
Tell me where we are so I can make
Basically,
sure
you
we're
know,
all
all the
on
thing we
the
have to
same
do is the contract will come before us tomorrow, we can vote it up or down, and the hiring process would be by Chief Carter. He will select the officers, and also Dr. Williams would move forward with it. But I would definitely email you the contract on tomorrow.
Okay, so you're gonna email the contract so that we can see it and review it, because in order to vote on it, we need to review it and see what's in it. Did you say Chief Collier is gonna select these officers?
Well, basically, they're coming from Chief Carter, and I think he have a steering committee, he's gonna have like a police department.
Okay, with that being said, so does your training include sensitivity training and cultural competence?
Yes, ma'am. That's what it's about, really. The school resource officer training is about interacting with young people. It's about developing relationships with them. It's about understanding how to separate the law enforcement piece from the relationship piece in terms of connecting with children. And so it does address cultural competency and cultural sensitivity. And the way resource officers work, they're not school administrators, so their job is not to be administrators in terms of doling out punishments. But they are another trusted adult that students would be able to rely on for support. And one of the good things about it is just to be able to build that a positive relationship with an officer. Especially when you think about the gang prevention and intervention piece, and the fact that regardless of where the activities are happening, those young people are in our schools. And just to be able to have that trusted adult that happens to be a police officer too, I think would be a major strength in terms of our gang-related issues for the city.
Yeah, because relationship building is gonna be important. That relationship building part is gonna be important. And I know that there are some officers that have been in the system, the school system, for quite some time, and they have a relationship already.
Yes.
So when you said selection,
Well, thank you.
by Chief Collier, then I was wondering how that process would go.
And we'll do it in conjunction with one another and I'll have the principals and school-related folks involved as well, because we want someone who's a good fit for the school. And like you said, we've got some officers that we know already are because of the work that they've been doing with our schools already.
Yeah.
Okay, from my understanding, 2 officers that's currently at Selma High, probably will remain there. Councilwoman Jackson.
I just want to remind you, if I'm correct, there was a total of 5 officers.
It's a total of 5, 3 at the high school and 2 at the middle school is what we're striving for.
And so you all would be paying for 2.5 salaries, and the city would need to pay for 2.5 salaries.
Yes, ma'am.
And so we would need to still find funding for 1.5 salaries. Additionally, if you recall, we had our public safety meeting right here. I'm probably sure that Mr. Blackman could pull it up. One of the things that I asked Chief Collier was, do we have enough officers to serve the streets as well as being the school? And he stated at that time that we did not. So if we're hiring new officers, we need to make sure that we have funding for those new officers, because as he stated at the last meeting, that we have all 45 that are hired, that have been budgeted. And so if we're going to fill those, now that's what he stated. And so if we're going to fill those slots at the SCSRO through the school system, then we're going to need to hire additional officers, because we don't want to pull anyone off the streets that's serving during the daytime to get the kids that are not in school, that should be in school, off the streets. And so we need to look at all those things, and I'm not sure if tomorrow is the best time to do that, because I've had an opportunity, you've had an opportunity, I think Ms. Jane was at that meeting, so I've had an opportunity to review that contract, but other council members have not, and I think that maybe we should perhaps have another meeting, discuss those things, and make sure that all those are fleshed out, so we're not making votes pending any funding that may be available in the sometime near future that may not come, or whatever.
Okay.
Mr. President, I would think, even though there won't be a vote tomorrow night, I do think in our next council meeting, that would have been enough time for each one of us to review that contract, and let's move forward with this initiative. I think as I said before, I think it's money well spent, and I think the cost that the school will be undertaking along with the city, I think our church deserves to have this resource available to them.
Councilwoman Thomas.
So you are going to give us the contract to look over?
Well, I said it for the 3rd time. Council.
So you said
I'll get it tomorrow.
U.S. District Attorney Richard Moore is going to review a grant application you're planning?
Tomorrow.
And is it something solely up to him for approval, or is it subject to other aspects of his office or?
I think that's from his office.
Okay, so
He's just,
he'll review it in, I guess, a timely fashion and
Yeah.
let
And
us know.
it's part of the we
It's
would see,
part of
and I
the
spoke to him yesterday
Right.
about the sense of urgency for this. So
And
if
many
that,
other things that are very urgent as well, understand.
well, yeah, but for me, there's a
Right,
sense of
which-
urgency to get these officers
All
in place.
encompassing students here in the community is pretty much.
Because of the training needing to take place over
Right,
the
for
summer.
summertime. And us to get the vote done and all the rest of
Right.
the contract review. And all.
Absolutely.
So good, you may know relatively soon, that before our next meeting, you'll know whether or not we're going to get that grant to help fund this, correct? Thank you, sir.
Councilwoman Benjamin, then Councilman Sewell.
Thank you for putting so much work in this. I just heard the contract is 2 pages.
Two pages.
2 pages, yeah.
Can you email it to me tonight?
Okay.
Second.
Okay, I
You
emailed it.
emailed this one before?
Huh?
Haven't you emailed this to us before?
Even if you emailed it 10 times. email
I'm just
it.
asking for my, check my email.
I will email it, I'll email it tonight.
I thought I read that
Yeah.
thing 6 times, but
I email it.
So you're ready, if you're ready 10 times,
Well,
you're
Mr.
ready.
President,
I believe so.
All right, Councilman.
Read it 10 times?
I feel like I've read it several times.
So, and he
You never know what you're gonna go back through all those emails and read it.
I understand.
So if Councilman Boleen has read it 10 times, then he's ready. But I can read it myself if you go ahead and email it to me. I get reason to email it.
Hence the great one.
Mr. President, I don't think this contract needs to be dependent upon the meeting city rep. That was something that we would welcome, that is something that we would love to have.
That's just
But
a
if that
caveat.
do not come to fruition, then I do think that we need to move forward, getting this SROs at our school for our children. Put that on record.
I would move it. Councilwoman Jackson.
One last action. We have so many great things that we need here in our city, but we just purchased 6 vehicles over 5 years for $205,000. We still have individuals being paid out of the public safety, police department budget for security down there, that we did budget in. And so I'm not sure how it's being paid, but it's out of the police department's budget. And now we're asking for more things out of the police department budget. We need to make sure that we're making an informed decision, because we're paying money out of a budget that no one is looking at, or no one can tell us exactly, additionally, where those funds are coming from, where the new vehicles are going to come from. Because if you all recall, they already spent $36,000 of the $60,000, only $22,000 remaining out of the $40,000 that we said we're gonna give each year for the car repair. So just make sure that we've had time to discuss this as it pertains to the budget. Everything that's good we may not be in a position to vote on it on the next day. It sounds good, it is a good idea. However, we need to make sure that we're being fiscally responsible and making responsible decisions based on our budget, not just based on what sounds good, but is good for the city, but what we can afford. And we already know that there are a lot of things out there that we did not budget that are being paid for. So I just want to put that on the record.
All right, thank you, Councilwoman Benjamin.
What is good for the city is safety, and we keep crying it all the time. Safety is good for the city. Safety of our children is good for the city. I have grandchildren in the school system. I have a 17-year-old, as y'all know. Well, no, he's 18 today. I no longer have a 17-year-old in the school system. He's 18 today. I'm leaving y'all early today. Yeah, so, yeah, safety is paramount, as we all keep crying over and over again.
Right.
So just let me read that contract. I just need to see what's in it. And if I have questions, of course, I guess you'll be available.
Yes, absolutely, absolutely. And I want to reiterate that too. This is really about improving the safety of our whole city. Because again, when we consider where gangs manifest, I mean, you know, our babies are being recruited regularly for gang activity, and that's just real. So it is an investment, but I think it's a necessary investment, and I also believe that this partnership will strengthen the city's relationship. When I say that, I mean citizens' relationship with the police officers and with the police department. And anytime we can establish positive relationships with police officers, that's a win. And when we can get young people to establish positive relationships with police officers, that's a win. And so we're looking forward to these officers being a positive part of our school culture. And like I said, really making sure that we are able to look parents in the eye and say that our schools are safe.
Yeah, we're gonna meet them on one end or the other end.
Pay now or pay later.
All right, thank you, Dr. Williams.
Thank
I
you.
have a question, unrelated, Dr. Williams.
Yes, ma'am.
So, glad to see you here. So you all are closing to the school.
Yes.
Cedar Park and Burke School. So there's lots of rumors about, y'all have plans for this. Tell me about that, because I don't want to go on a rumor. And I was gonna write y'all, but I'm glad to see
Yeah,
you
I'm
here.
glad you asked. We don't have plans for the buildings. In fact, the deeds have a reversionary clause where it reverts back to the city.
Yeah.
So we don't have any plans for the buildings. I mean, the reason we're closing the schools is because we don't have enough students to fill the
That's what I was
buildings.
saying, and money.
And the money that it costs to operate more facilities than what we actually need is fiscally irresponsible on our part. So we don't have any plans for either facility. There's been some interest in both. Nothing that I would say is serious from the standpoint of there being deals brokered or anything like that, but just some inquiries about both of them. And so, our goal is to have them both vacated shortly after school starts this fall. And I do think it warrants a conversation, as far as what our responsibilities may be and what you all need from us in terms of those buildings.
Yeah, I will put that part in writing. We talked about it not long ago.
Okay.
My concern is the roof and possible termites.
Okay.
At the building in Ward 4. We just
Okay.
see the part.
At Bird
There's a couple
or-
of things I'll be sending through it to.
Oh, both, okay.
Whoever I'm supposed to send
Okay.
it to, Ms. Campbell or the board members, whoever. That's a couple of major things that
Okay.
I was sending, so you all can answer back and let us know.
That'll be great, yeah. No problem.
Dr. Williams, let me tag on to that.
Yes.
Councilwoman Benjamin and I have discussed, and I've asked her to also include Bird School because we know that their roof is in disrepair, and we don't want to receive it back in that way. We didn't give it that way, and so we want it back in a way that at least the citizens of Ward 3 won't have a dilapidated building upon return, and so we're going to be asking that that be repaired.
And our attorney
It'll be
will,
in the same memo.
yeah,
Thank you.
look at it and go from there and see what the deed says about that and so forth too. I do know that there was some grant funding from a historic society that's wanting to work with us to do some repairs on the bird roof. And I can share that information with you all, especially as it updates, you know, as we know whether or not we're actually able to move forward with it.
Ms. Mississippi, that information, I think I sent.
Okay.
Thank you
Okay.
so much. If we can partner with that, or you all can take care of it if we don't receive that grant.
All right, any other questions?
Only one final
Go ahead.
Dr. Williams, I just want to thank you for your leadership. You are doing an awesome job.
Thank you. We have an awesome team.
I read your columns religiously.
Okay.
And they are uplifting and to the point. I just want to thank you for all that you do.
Well, thank you, I appreciate
Just
that.
keep doing what you're doing.
Well, we need your support. 'Cause like I said, we have an awesome team, and we are on the move. We're doing great things. We found out today that our secondary teacher of the year has made the Sweet 16 for the state. And so,
Ms. Cullen.
yes, an awesome choice. So we're excited about that. Got robotics teams making it to national finals, and so a lot of great things happening.
Nationals.
Say it again.
DECA.
DECA going to nationals. We've got our junior chefs going to a national competition. So a lot of great things happening with our schools. And like I said, our goal is to make sure that with all of the wonderful things we have happening, we can also say that they're safe.
Well, just know, I think I speak for my colleagues, the Selma City Council stands.
Well, thank you. And we need that. I appreciate it.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Now to the mayor's report, Danvers and Jones.
Well, this isn't the mayor's report exactly. That's so important about the schools. It's very interesting to hear her say how well they're doing. This is the first meeting since we closed the sale of the hotel. It's anticlimactic because the whole world knew about it within minutes after it was technically closed on the last day of the first quarter. The lender, for their own particular reasons, wanted it booked as closed by the end of March, the end of the first quarter. There was a lot that wasn't quite ready, not from the city standpoint. President Bowie and the mayor had signed all the city documents well in advance, but from the lender's standpoint, they wanted a lot of things. Their lawyers in Atlanta wanted a lot of things. But anyway, late Friday afternoon, the last business day of March, did a conference call and they considered it closed. They wired the funds to our trust account. We ended up being the closing agents, but it didn't get there until April 1st. From their standpoint, it was closed on that last day of March. But it wasn't until April 1st when the money came, and we couldn't do anything until we had the money to record documents and pay the city and whatever. But it did close. There's a lot left to be done. There's some post-closing work that's going to be required. Jim Lewis has a real challenge ahead of him to do everything that the Hilton Hotels is requiring him to do. There's some just on the ground things that are going to have to be. They own the building, but we've got to. There's some things stored in it that Henry Thompson will need to work with them on getting out of the building that's next to the actual hotel. Their utilities have got to be adjusted and put in their name. The insurance, we are canceling the insurance, but And they have insurance, they have a builder's risk, they have a lot of insurance. It's very costly. But, and I talked to the insurance people, we want to be sure that we are, the city is a named insured, because God forbid if it should burn down before it gets into operation, we will insure for a $300,000 mortgage to be paid. Of course, selling this property was important to get some money, but the main thing was to get somebody there that had the ability and the funding to do what needed to be done. That's what was so hard. To find a lender that was going to lend money on a hotel that had not made any money ever, and maybe since 1847 or whenever, was not easy. But there are some post-closing things to take care of. Woody's going to cover one that's already been brought up here previously, but with you in a minute. But if there are any questions now, as you know, you had a contract with the broker that of that $100,000 payment, $70,000 went to them. The other expenses, closing costs were ended up you getting somewhat over $20,000 back that has been paid to the city. We are going to get the insurance premium. Your ongoing expenses are going to quit. We're going to get a rebate from the insurance company. You know, you're paying $19,000 or $20,000 a year for insurance. We're going to get a rebate. Once I get confirmation that you're covered under this, I have verbal confirmation, but we want to see the actual policy that says you are named insured. So I would like to. The thing has been in on both 2 TV channels and the Selma Times Journal, and I think maybe some of you saw this. The lenders put it on this sort of national real estate development, which is a very interesting, positive report. So it's nationwide publicity now. But it has been referred a number of times as this being a curio collection. That's what his Redmont Hotel is, but excuse me, Hilton has many brands. I mean, Embassy Suites and Hampton Inn or whatever. This is a tapestry brand that is another specialized brand for unique hotels that have a historical basis. So this is not a curio like the Redmont. It is a tapestry brand. So maybe the press will get that corrected next time. Are there any questions now?
Councilman Phil?
Councilman, since you said there's post-closing work to be done, what is the status of that $181,000 insurance check that we received a couple of weeks ago? Is that still being held?
What's that now?
The insurance,
The insurance money is in an agency account. It's being distributed only as the repairs are made. And once those repairs are made, and he shows they're made, then the rest of the insurance money he can apply for. And we're holding it in an escrow account, agency account. When we get invoices from the contractor and show that the work's gone into the building, we will distribute as it progresses.
Any other questions? All right, thank you, Mr. Gamble. Mr. Jones.
Yeah, so Harry's talking about the post-closing stuff too. The lender's requiring for post-closing is it's tax abatement. Y'all voted last time to go ahead and publish it. We're working with SRA's lawyers at Balch and Bingham, the lender's lawyers, Jim Lewis's lawyers on drafting this notice. So we expect to have it drafted this week. Start publishing probably, we have to do it one time for a week before a public hearing. So I expect we'll get it finished this week to publish it. And so it'll be available to take action if you want to in 2 weeks. Again, this is an abatement of 25% of the 6% lodging tax, 25% of the sales tax. That's what we talked about the last time, but that's one of the follow-up things we've got to do.
It's still 10 years.
10 years, that's right. And that's it. It's really not that complicated of an agreement.
We'll have a public hearing about 15 minutes prior to our next council meeting, so about 4:45.
tomorrow, not tomorrow.
Not tomorrow, next council.
Yeah, so the
So-
22nd.
So, are you here as Gamble and Gamble or city attorney?
That's both.
I was just thinking,
Which question you're asking?
I was just thinking, he could have said what you just said.
Well,
But
he-
are you here also in your capacity
I
as city
can be,
attorney?
I can be.
Oh, you can be, okay, I was just asking.
No, I've been
Yeah, 'cause
working.
He could have said that.
Harry was so busy with closing.
I
I've
got
been dealing with 772. I mean, it's a different issue. Your closing's done. This is a post-closing requirement by the lender.
Yeah.
But it's a different issue. And so I've been the one kind of handling that. So Harry can focus on getting it closed. Because Harry's left, it was very stressful to get it done. And he worked very hard to do it. So I was handling the 772, so.
Okay, so in your capacity as city attorney, I'd like to ask you concerning the update of the, not update, but where we are, where I guess it is not, in the process of annexation, because I received some new news about somebody who would be caught up in it that might not want to be in the city.
Yeah, so this is something I've tried to set a meeting with you about. So
Yeah.
you and I need to meet, and I can explain it all to you, just anytime. And I think I told you a couple weeks ago, I was available anytime that week. And then, so just call me, you and I get together. And
Okay,
I've
because it's
got
gonna have to go to the whole council anyway, so once
Yeah.
we meet, you're gonna bring it back to the whole council?
We can, yeah,
Okay.
yeah. And I think what you're talking about, there's an issue because the property is not contiguous to the city limits. And so you have three options. You can have an act by a legislature, which would be the Senate, House, state legislature. You can have a vote by the citizens, or everybody connected, contiguous, can petition. And I don't know if everybody connected can petition, so that's the issue.
Yeah, I presented all of that to the council already, quite some time ago, and actually, we can vote with that because there are no residents involved.
So the residents have to vote.
So, there are no residents involved.
Well, there's a business.
Yeah, so we don't need that, Senator Sanders was still in office when I presented this to him and then back to the council. So what I'll do is just pull out final notes again, and then we can do all again.
Yeah.
Because we need to vote.
I don't think the council can just vote
Yeah.
to get somebody in the city limits that's not contiguous.
No, I'm not saying they're not contiguous, I'm saying from the church back to the light. Okay, so before the light, the residents already, before the light, they're already in Ward 4.
Right.
So what I'm saying, from that spot back, really, we should be saying from the skating rink to the light, but hey, in my opinion, or further back.
Yeah.
But for what I'm saying is, from there to the light, there are no residents involved.
It's owned by Buchanan Timber.
Yeah, so there are no residents.
But I don't think you're saying, can you vote the property owned by Buchanan Timber just into the city limits?
Go ahead, go ahead.
Are we going down this road before?
Yeah, I might have my notes
About
up
10
here.
years ago,
Yeah.
there was a need, there was a desire to annex the corridors going west. And during that time, I think there was about 15 businesses
Yeah.
that was in that area. Well, according to our attorney, according to the law, because there was no residency, it would require a simple vote of the council to go ahead and annex these corridors. But what we did, Mr. Attorney, we sent out letters to all business people informing them of a public hearing by the council to inform them of our intent to annex this area. Out of the 15 businesses, only one business showed up. However, once it was brought to the council didn't have the nerve to pass it. So I don't know if the law has changed since
Yeah.
then.
Well, let's get together, you and me, and you show me
Yeah, we will.
exactly
I
what
will
you're
show
talking
it to
about.
you. I will show it to you. I'll probably send you the link in the code. I was hoping I had it right here.
Yeah.
It's kind of similar to what we did with the YMCA when the YMCA needed funds from the city. They were not inside, so they came to us in lobby to be inside. And so everything, we cut a groove in. We went around the circle, came out. We left the farmers co-op and brought the YMCA on into the city by council vote.
And maybe we're not talking about the exact same property.
Yeah.
So you and I need to get together
Okay.
and look and see, this is what
Okay.
I'm talking about.
And then I'll send
How
you
can we
what
do
Senator
this?
Sanders
Yeah,
sent me.
send me that too.
And then, before we meet, we both can look over. I can look it over
Yeah.
again and then you can
Sure.
look over. Okay.
Definitely, definitely.
Okay.
Also, I gave you an update of a legal case, if you would, just read it. Talk to Attorney Jones with the update.
Oh, we got that already?
Yeah.
Oh, let me read you.
Real quick follow-up, so we're talking about annexation of Summerfield Road, or, I'm talking about 22 going out
Oh, no,
toward
yeah,
Dallas?
yeah, that,
22 going.
well, that's count, yeah, 22, but it's still Citizen Park.
Right, right,
Yeah.
and then we're not talking about Highway 80 in this, or we're talking about Highway 80 in this too?
I don't think so.
No,
Okay.
we're talking about,
So
we're talking about a strip this big.
Where the church came to us and asked us to be back.
Right.
Okay,
Forward to the light, but the residents are already in Ward 4.
I'm with you.
Yeah.
I'm with you. Just want to make sure we're talking about that specific
Oh,
location.
yeah, just
not
a slither
This
of
place,
land.
that place, and another place.
No, no,
Just
no.
Slides on in, next thing I know. it's
No,
People
Well,
hate
just
it.
like we did
But
with
it's so
Wild.
stupid.
Just like we did with Wild.
Which we
All
do
right.
around here, don't we?
Any other questions for Attorney Jones? Yes, sir.
The attorney and I have been discussing, and of course, Councilman Randolph, I wish he was here because he hasn't served notice that there's going to be an attempt to move that voting precinct, Ward 5, out of Ward 6. It has created mass confusion every election. And the people in Rangedale need to be given assurance that they know exactly where they need to go vote. And I'm asking the attorney to look at how we can get this precinct moved into Ward 5 where it rightfully should be. So I'm going to get with Sam and let him know that we're talking to Reverend Grayson
Yeah, about his term.
to see about the possibility or probability of that box being moved to the north side of Ward 5. I don't think my colleagues will have any problem with it, because it's just not right and not fair to have this mass confusion on the election day. And I think if people knew exactly where they need to go vote, I think that would make everything good and proper. So we're gonna be moving forward to move this box out of this precinct Ward 5 box out of Ward 6.
Any other questions?
See how the polling building contract's next? I was just sitting down for a minute.
Yeah, I want to make sure I understand the EEOC, they're in complaint status still?
Yes, yes.
For
So
the
my
finance attorney.
I'm not handling it. It's been sent, the insurance company sent it to other lawyers.
Okay. What I'm looking at.
The insurance company is, the insurance company, AMEC, has sent it, my understanding, from Peak Insurance Agency. So y'all's insurance company, AMEC, has hired other attorneys to represent.
For both
the
or
EFC.
one?
Both. I
Okay.
think they're two different lawyers, same law firm.
Okay, I just saw one mentioned, I didn't see the other one. Maybe it's in a separate email.
No, it's at the bottom. It's at the bottom, very bottom.
Councilwoman, this one goes with that attorney, this one goes with.
Thank y'all, and thank Harry since he
Yeah.
got out of here so quick for your efforts on the
Yeah.
hotel. I know
Yes.
it's a
And congratulations,
Herculean
y'all.
effort to get that thing
Yeah,
done.
Yeah.
I know it's been a lot of stress and little pay, but really do appreciate y'all's commitment to this project to get it done, and understanding the importance of what it means to our downtown as the heartbeat of the city, and what it means to Water Avenue as a place for folks to come and spend time with us. So, again, thank y'all for your law firm's efforts.
Thank y'all.
All right, any other questions
Thank you,
for?
Attorney Woody Jones, thank Gamble and Gamble for us, we really appreciate what y'all have done.
Any other questions for Attorney Jones?
What Carl had to say, we thank you, we can't thank you guys enough.
Any other questions for Attorney Jones?
Who's he picking in the game?
Yeah. Oh,
Councilman
that's
Thompson?
why you keep saying?
Yes.
Keep on.
Serve it up.
You had
Go
catch it.
ahead. Attorney Jones?
I'm here. I'm
Thank
getting-
you, Attorney Jones.
Building contract.
He's describing what he needs.
You have a question?
Yo,
I think she's straight on it.
I'm straight with the contract, but we just, I wanna make sure all of the council.
Oh.
I wanna make sure all the council.
The new contract.
Yes, the new contract.
Okay, I got you.
We have the new contract. And I wanna make sure that, all of them have the contract.
You did email.
What's
Yeah.
different from the old one?
Send it to you.
We
I
change,
don't know if you have it. You have, the difference between the one you probably have is the security deposit got changed from 500 to 100. And then, Lieutenant Folks' name got taken out and just put the police department. That was it.
You have the one with the circle with changes. I thought I copied the number for everybody.
But you all gave me a test to complete if you want. You said that was gonna be based on whether we were gonna do that security deposit change. You wanna hear what happened with that?
Yeah, I made enough copies right there for everybody.
250. Because if they do 100, you know, they will say, you can keep the 100.
Don't pay for a table, don't pay for a chair, don't pay for anything.
Also, notice in there, okay, so public building, the first meeting's minutes mentioned a lot throughout the minutes, taking out staffing. So I did that, but there's one part in it that still requires the city to set up tables and chairs. Now, it's up to you guys, but I would think if you're taking out staffing, you would take that part out as well. It doesn't matter to me one way or the other, I'm just
We addressed
making
that
y'all.
in the building committee meeting, and didn't we take that out? No. Or made it optional if they want to pay a charge or something, we did add it, set up $50. Yeah, set up and take it out.
Should be $100.
Yeah. So the fee to set up, I guess, is
Well,
$50.
before you get to the point, let you know, they gave me a task. So the task was, before they determined that if the deposit was going to be $100, for me to get in touch with Mr. Jerry P. to determine if we were allowed to have building insurance or damage, property damage. So the answer to that is no. The liability insurance does cover neglect and fire damage due to neglect. And it may cover if someone that is not renting, like invited guests, get into a fight and maybe punch a wall or something like that. But it does not cover if they go and spray paint the whole thing, all that. So property damage is not covered. Again, you asked, one of my tasks was to see how much it would cost. It would be between $125 to $150. And maybe a little more alcohol. This is $125 to $150 is without alcohol, the liability and fire due to neglect or something like that. And so we're looking at $125 to $150, but it does not cover damage that may be caused to our things. So, we said that we were gonna look at the deposit amount if we could not get the damage, property damage insurance included. So I did speak to Mr. Peak, we may need to increase that amount.
Well, I was gonna say, I think we should increase the security deposit to $250, just as a good deterrent, and then I think we should go up on, if they want us to set up, it needs to be $150, $100 and something to get that done, because you have to set it up and then take it down, so it's not just one trip, it's 2 trips. Right?
Well, we were at the, okay.
Can I say something? We had a public building meeting, we invited the public out. We were looking for, including if the council wanted to be a part of it, because this was the purpose of trying to get this here, so we can lease these buildings out. We need to rent these buildings, people are asking. And this is, that is why when we say if you had something that you wanted to, before an attorney wouldn't get the contract over again, we wanted to put everything in place so we can move forward.
Right, it sounded like there's some variability to what Ms. Jackson mentioned, so that number's not ironed out yet. It sounds like it's gonna have to change as a result of what Mr. Peak told us. And then this is the first I've heard of the setup fee being $50. And of course, I got a full-time job, so I can't be at all the meetings that we have, and I do apologize for that, but the reality of it is, it's gonna cost us more than $50 to get somebody to the table twice, once to set it up and then once to take it down. So my thought was if we can kind of make it where it's a little bit to the price point where they're like, let's do it ourselves, then it should alleviate that possibility a little bit more. Again, it's a deterrent.
Well,
But I want to rent the buildings just as bad as anybody else. I mean, we're going through that right now with the Walton. Thank you, Mr. Thompson. That turned out better than it was going to turn out if I went down there. So thank you, Mr. Thompson, again for handling it for me, because I needed to go do that. It was going to happen today, so I appreciate that. But you got to make a recommendation. I'm for that. I just want to see us bump it up a little bit on the insurance side, the security deposit for sure.
Councilwoman Thomas, and then Councilwoman Bennett.
You made me lost.
She said go to her first. Go to you first.
Go to me first? Oh, okay, so the insurance is somewhere between 100 and 150. Do they have to go take it out themselves? Yes. Okay, so since they have to go take it out themselves, there's no need to bump it up because we're not going to take the insurance out for them. They are, right?
Yes.
Correct.
They
Okay.
have to bring that in.
Now, y'all talking about just liability though, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
they do not provide
Not
that.
property.
Not-
Right, right. I was
Yeah,
gonna say, 'cause
yeah.
I don't have property in there.
No, he said they would actually have to have a
Separate policy.
separate policy. It would not be an event policy.
Yeah.
So they could not offer that.
Okay, so I got you on that part. And, you haven't heard about the breakdown fee because she actually hasn't recommended it. She'll be recommending it on tomorrow. That came out of the new meeting, the new, committee meeting. So the things, the changes are circled on here and I promise you, I thought I copied enough so you all can see what changed since the first contract, but it's not that much. So you'll hear that in her recommendation on tomorrow to vote on it. I'm ready to vote on this. We're turning a lot of people down who want to rent our buildings. Almost every other day, somebody's calling and saying, why can't I rent the Evans building? Why can't I rent the convention center? They're calling, and that means people want to still spend money with us. Out of all this time of us not renting buildings, people still want to rent the buildings. This has been a long time coming, so we need to go ahead and do it because the ultimate piece in this whole contract thing was to remove the requirement for staff to be present. And then we came upon all the other stuff.
And also we have, each council need to have where they'll, this is the application with the fee.
Fee schedule.
Yeah, I need for everyone to have that. This is the new fee. We're gonna put that on, it's included too, with the vote tomorrow.
250, 100 or 250 before.
We have it on there.
Oh, you mean you added, okay, so the amphitheater has been added to the contract, it wasn't on there.
It wasn't on there
The
before.
amphitheater has been added to, the whole contract. In your choice of buildings now, you don't have to do a separate amphitheater contract. It's been added to this one. So we have one contract.
Councilwoman Jackson.
Okay.
Councilman Bowman.
And I guess I'm talking to the two members of the committee that was there. When you all tasked me with getting in touch with Mr. Peak, you said that it was going to be $100, the secure deposit, if they were able to obtain that insurance. Seeing as though they cannot obtain insurance, do you all want to change it back to $250 or how do you want to handle it?
So which insurance does the citizen have to go and get?
They have to get the liability
Okay.
insurance, but they do not, we were talking about the damage.
They
So-
cannot go get the property.
Right, so if somebody
They have to
slips
do
and
the
fall and
liability.
break their leg, the city won't be liable for $1 million because someone broke their leg in their building. It would be the event insurance that would take care of that. But if someone punched a hole in tore out all the windows.
So
they would not be
us,
responsible.
charging them the, more money in the security deposit is going to secure them?
No, it's hopefully a deterrent for them
Oh.
spray painting the building.
I'm trying to see how that works.
So, that's one of the things that we discussed.
So they won't be insured, we're just bumping the price?
No, they won't be insured. We'll make sure there's something.
We're just saying bump the price up.
Correct. Yeah. So we could bump the price up, and as it was stated in the meeting, that most of the time those checks were never cashed, those money orders or what.
Yeah, they hold on to it.
Right, they hold on to them. And so, I think we maybe need to explain that breakdown and setup fee, because I don't see that we have it in there. I thought we were saying that was gonna be someone that was contracted and had already worked with the city.
No.
If it was optional. If I'm wrong, I
No,
don't.
we didn't agree to that.
Okay, well,
It
what
was-
did we
It was
say?
said that,
That's what we talked about, I thought. That's what we talked about.
I didn't hear you, Councilwoman.
The setup and breakdown.
I thought that we agreed that.
Oh, yeah, $50. You may have been gone, when that was further discussed. may
Oh,
have-
you discussed
you
this
have-
more after I
yeah.
left, okay?
Yeah,
Okay, that's
so,
fine.
yeah, it was at $50. The recommendation is for $50.
Yeah, I remember that. I was saying that, because we discussed the $50 while I was here.
Yeah.
I was, talking about we said we would get someone that already that worked here, you all named the name of somebody that could possibly come out and set up, because we didn't want them going in our rooms and pulling down things of that sort. But we said we would contract with them, and they would get that money. That's what I would call it. If I'm incorrect, just help me out.
And that's what that fee is for.
So that's what I wanted to,
Yeah.
you convey that message
Yeah.
to hard to let them know this is not an expense of the city.
Oh, yeah.
This is gonna be a contract.
Yeah, that's not us.
Well, so whatever that dollar figure will be more than $50 at some time or another, because, I mean, again, if you're setting up, you know, the Evans Building or the Convention Center, or you're, versus trying to set up, you know, the Walton Theater or something else, I mean, you're gonna have more time in setting up 100 tables and chairs than you are gonna set up 5 tables and chairs.
I'm sure Councilwoman can revisit that with the recommendation for tomorrow.
The other thing that we've just run into here recently, obviously, at the Walton, is that what we believe to be an approachable venue as far as what the talent that's coming to town is Joe Baez, which, you know, is coming tomorrow, which is a great thing for our city. You know, we had a hard time getting permission to move stuff and put in light bulbs at our own expense in the dressing rooms that desperately need it. So if the person wants to improve the facility because it's missing light bulbs or switches are broken or a myriad of things are going on there should be something that's at least discussed in the committee, since it's just kind of realized that on our end, that's a problem.
May I say something?
Please.
If you know that Ms. Jones or Ms. Joanne or Ms. Byers was coming, someone should have came to the, we had a public.
The gentleman comes, she's a.
Not her, but who's ever
Well, they
sponsored
were in
this
contact with
event.
Terry the entire time, anytime Terry could have.
But can I say this?
Sure, just want to make sure.
You bringing this to the committee now, I understand where you're coming from, I know exactly where you're coming from, because, this event was put in place before, Clay Carmichael came before this panel.
Right.
And asked the building committee to make sure that they get on the book.
Right.
And Corey said, Councilwoman Thomas, will you please follow up with this?
Yes, ma'am.
For this event?
Yes.
I had nothing, I hadn't heard from a soul about this event.
Right.
So whoever this person was that's taking this matter on, I'm quite sure it might be Clay Carmichael.
No, ma'am, it's the whole group of people.
Well, the whole group.
Alan.
Okay,
Clay,
well, let me say what I have
Joe
to
Baez,
say.
her
Okay.
production team, the people from out of town.
Well, can I finish?
There's a whole lot of folks.
Okay, the group that's a part of this, that know that all of these different things that was gonna be done, that they needed to get changed. We just had this public.
Well, the past has never been an issue. We were able to make the changes as needed in the facility.
Go ahead, Councilwoman Thomas.
Well, the problem with this change is not us.
I know.
It's not the building committee,
Yes, ma'am, I understand completely.
because we don't have no keys.
Yes, ma'am, I understand.
And, I think that if they had came, like you just saying now what you need to be done, Ms. Terry Davis is the director over this.
So I keep hearing.
And, nothing was brought to this panel here about anything about the lights or you want to put new drapes up, all this. It's good, yes, that's good, because it says it will help the performing out
Yes.
with these things. So what you're saying is now is new to all of us sitting up here, what they want to do, which they didn't come before. You're speaking it now. I did hear it today.
Right.
I did hear this today. Yes, I heard this evening, which I was with the lady that's Miss Joanne, that's who's performing. I did hear this from Clay Carmichael, said that it will be brought before the council tonight to be able to vote on changing the lights and putting the drapes up and all of that, which you are speaking in behalf of it.
Right, so we ratify it for tomorrow.
Okay. Well, see, I'm saying you're speaking it now.
Right, well, I'm just bringing it up so we can vote on it tomorrow, because it's going to be brought up at council meeting.
Well, we have no problem with that.
So-
No, right, fine.
And again, it's one of those little slippery, it's a little gray area that may or may not need to be addressed. I'm just bringing it up. I know you were already aware of it, and I do apologize if they haven't.
Yes,
brought it up with you,
I
but
was
obviously
aware of it.
When you're working in the city and the committee's on your team and you're working with the group to get things done, but yet there's another impedance there that doesn't have to do with the committee, sometimes you get lost in that frustrations of that situation, which again is why I was thanking Mr. Thompson there for coming out there and helping us out with that today. So.
Councilwoman Benjamin.
And I appreciate y'all's efforts. I'm not trying to throw a monkey wrench in what y'all are trying to do.
Councilwoman, thank you for providing services to this great woman that Councilman Moline speaks of today in your ward today, great customer service, great Selma hospitality. She is obviously already here, so thank you for the service.
Yeah, she's here.
Thank you for the hospitality you gave to her on today. What are we ratifying the firm and nothing happened yet, has it?
Well, today,
Something happened today?
they had to go and put everything in place for business tomorrow night.
So what we're talking about, somebody did it anyway, right?
How about, I talked to them over the weekend.
Oh, okay.
We'll ratify the firm.
Oh, I was just wondering what we were ratifying in the firm. I thought somebody wanted to do something, but they don't want to do it, they went ahead and did it.
Yeah, because I
Right?
talked with the
Had to.
property, had to, yeah, because the business tomorrow night.
And it's, I mean, if it's just a local band coming and play, that's one thing, but it's Joan Baez finishing up her 60-something year career, starting here in Selma, which is huge. I mean, I can't begin to tell you how big that is.
I'm just trying to see if the group just went ahead and did it.
No, I talked with them over the weekend.
No, we got,
Okay, I got
she
you.
was given.
Any other questions? Councilwoman
Yeah, we
Johnson?
wasn't,
I hate to bring this up again, but I just wanna, I can't leave this setup alone because we don't have that it's going to be contracted out or aligned that states this is going to be contracted with, and they can change it every time an event is set up. But I know that the city, if there's a setup and breakdown fee, we may collect the fee and then, somehow say we're unable to collect it, set it up because we don't have someone, you know what happens with the miscommunication. So do we need something in place?
Scared me.
Okay. Do we need something, Jolie, do we need something in place that shows that this is going to be contracted? Because right now it just says set up requested yes or no, and I know we're gonna take that out, but it's set up and breakdown $50, but they're not going to know based off this contract what we discussed. So is that something we need, Woody, or I'm overthinking this?
No, I mean, I think tomorrow, I would say tomorrow when y'all vote on this, call it what it is, a single event facility. And then I think we need to describe the setup. And I'll just leave the security deposit blank for y'all, and you can write it in tomorrow. But I mean, right now, the way it is, it has a setup and breakdown fee of $50 is what came out of public building.
It did.
Yes.
However, it
it
doesn't
did.
go to the city of Selma. And when this contract leaves this body and goes back to the buildings department, and they say set up and breakdown fee, it's going to be stopped because we don't have anybody to set it up and break down, and they don't
And-
understand
and
that
how
we need
can-
to contract this out with the
Right.
gentleman that's already been volunteering that you all named. And so that's why I'm saying, do we need to have some verbiage in there that explains
See,
that?
I didn't know that you were contracting it out. I don't know how y'all can buy the third party on what he's gonna charge either. You see what I'm saying?
Right.
So it's really,
Well, he's been volunteering for nothing.
Whoa. Okay, so
You see
we
what I'm
talked to, your last name is Jones. We talked to you in your office about this extensively.
yeah.
And so,
I
when we
thought the
left
city-
your office, $50 was still in the contract. We could have changed it then. If you had made the statement you just made now, we could have done that now. This is giving me a complete and utter headache. So now, here we are back again, talking this
Yeah.
talk again, when
Do you have that?
we sat in,
Do you have that?
Yes,
Yeah. but
I
that-
need water.
that's his.
Yeah, this was,
That's right, we'll do some.
that was the change y'all had at $50. I didn't have any breakdown fee. And, but.
Are you
my
looking at this? Is that
understanding-
something different right
This is
here?
what you did.
The same thing as this?
Yeah. I didn't know,
That's his contract.
I didn't know a third party was doing it.
You thought it was gonna be a city?
Yeah, I thought the city, y'all paying extra for the city to do
You
it.
don't
We
have
don't
to
have
say
any,
it.
that's what we discussed, that we
Right.
didn't have any employees, so that was gonna be.
That's an access for
firm.
contract, it's to
Right.
remove the city
I
employees.
believe the gentleman, Mr. Robert, was the guy.
I don't know anything.
Right.
You're saying Mr. Robert, that's pretty vague.
Yeah, I mean, that's why I was saying we should just put user will be responsible. Because
Right.
I thought the city was getting paid to do this. That was my understanding from
And
talking.
see, that's your understanding by reading the contract,
Yeah.
you drafted it. And so
Well, not
we
this
know
one,
it's-
this was revised to add.
Right, and so we know it's not, so
Right.
what do you imagine their understanding is
They're
gonna be?
not gonna
Pretty much
know.
like yours,
Yeah.
and that's why I keep bringing it up, even though
Yeah.
I feel like I'm
Yeah.
What is understanding?
Wait a minute.
Oh,
We understand.
Hold on,
articulating it correctly.
You are,
Okay.
you are, but what happened when you left our meeting
Okay.
is that we ended up with this, and we took it to the attorney, and we sat in his office,
Okay.
and we sat and talked about it, 'cause we marked it up, and we left with this. We left the attorney, the professional, the expert with this. So if we need to take this out,
My
we
recommendation.
need to vote pending taking it out and vote on this contract tomorrow.
We need to do our contract.
We don't need to keep going back and forth with this right here. We don't, I'm done with that. As a member of the
Time for the
committee,
move.
I am saying that if we need to remove it, let's remove it and move on. It is time to rent these buildings out to the citizens of Selma.
Yeah, I would recommend just saying.
Put the
user
motion on the
is
floor
responsible
tomorrow.
for it.
What, it's their committee, they just invited me to it. And if we take it out, we're gonna be back here in a month because they're not gonna be renting out because we don't have any staff.
No.
It said no
Okay,
staff.
so I'm not clearly articulating, obviously. So what I'm saying is the contract piece, the option needs to still be there for setup because someone has to watch our stuff. But the option is for them to go ahead and contract it out. So you see what I'm saying now, Attorney Jones? It's on the person who's renting.
Yeah, the user will be responsible for setup.
Yeah, thank you.
And no, don't even put a fee in there, just say user is responsible for setting up chairs and tables. And then, is that what you're saying? I mean, I think that's probably the best thing to do,
That's what I said.
if there's no staff.
Most people set up anyway, they put table stuff on there, they find two of the rooms, I mean, you know.
There's some people that bring their own.
Right, exactly.
If it's a big event, some.
And we're gonna make sure we let them in the room. Remember, like at the Evans building.
That's Terry Davis's job.
Terry
That's what
Davis.
she's getting paid for.
Terry
She doesn't have anything else to
Davis.
do. She doesn't have to set up anymore. So that's Terry
Terry
Davis's
let you
job.
in and let
To
you
let
out.
these people in and to let these people out. So when she let them in, she checks the
She
stuff.
don't give-
And when
she
she lets them
gonna
out,
check
she
everything.
checks them out.
Okay, we can put this contract in, let's bury this contract tomorrow.
Please do.
I'm gonna send you a new one, that's it, that reflects that. User will be responsible for setting up chairs and tables, right?
Yes.
Okay, and I'm gonna leave it blank for y'all to vote on the security deposit.
I got some choice words I can put in that blank. Any other questions? Any other questions? All right, thank you.
All right.
Mr. Thompson?
Good
Mr.
afternoon.
Thompson, before we get started on the resolution, can you please tell me, are you the location of the bicycles we had down at St.
Bicycles are located at the back of 14 Broad Street, Bike Center.
In the back room.
Bike Center area.
You got a bike set?
What about those portable air conditioners we had down there at St. James? It was like 12 of them, like portable air conditioners.
That would be something they would have to check with the attorney that just left because all of that stuff is still in the hotel. Now, if that's something that you all want to discuss regarding moving, it was all portables that whatever was used during that time was in the hotel. That,
He's still here.
okay. well,
Yes. You're not done yet.
Come on back.
If it's something you all want or whatever, but that should have been probably done well.
Correct. That's what you're gonna say, yes,
So,
David.
all that's gonna be put back in your.
Certificated.
Well, if you all tell me what you want, and where you
Everything.
want to keep it,
We want
you
everything.
let me know and then I'll refer that back to
We want everything.
attorney.
Everything that belongs to us, we want it, that we can get.
City itemized.
And some of the stuff belongs to citizens, other people. Other
What?
citizens, remember?
Well, the way everything went, there was an inventory list taken of the things at the hotel, and when the contract was drawn up regarding the contents of the hotel, from my understanding, that was in one area, of which I wasn't privy to say what is what we want to take out or what, because I don't have any kind of say so over that. I can tell you what's there, but to say you want to keep it or no, I don't know. I don't know.
I think, Mr. President, realistic, if it's nothing that's binding to the seller, if it's not binding to the seller, we need to remove it.
Yeah. Well, Charles, the contract.
Yeah.
The bikes
Talking about
are-
what's in the building, is that what
Yes.
we're talking
The
about?
bikes,
Yeah,
we're trying to.
Oh, yeah, the bikes are the cities.
Yeah, the bikes are at
Well,
the
there's
welcome
Harry
center.
knows more, but there's an inventory list, and I think Harry and Henry are gonna get together and look at it, but the bikes, yeah, that's all the cities, but like other stuff, I'm not sure exactly what's all in there.
But see, there's tables, there's chairs, there's furniture of the hotel. No one told me that we were moving that to another location and I need to be responsible for the transporting of that portion. Now, if that's something that I hate is getting brought up now because it's after the closing and then this is gonna require some more conversation.
No, yeah, we'll just look, there's an inventory that sets out what was transferred in the bill of sale. Yeah, so we'll just look at that list.
If it's not binding to the
Right.
seller,
Right,
then everything else belongs.
that's right.
Okay, Mr. Thompson.
Mr. Thompson,
Yes,
let me ask
ma'am.
you a question. You brought up that bike rack, that infamous bike rack that I've been asking about for a long time, so I'm glad you brought some clarity to me.
Bike center.
Bike center, bike
Yes.
rack, bike facilities,
Yes.
bike. How much did we pay for that?
I'm not for sure. It was done over about 3 years, including the Welcome Center area, which was all of that area was totally in disarray. And we have photos and things of that nature.
May I ask you another question? Did we have a grant for that bike center?
No, there was not grants used for the Bike Center or the Welcome Center. That was basically, we used from tourism to CDBG fund.
Okay, let me ask you another question. Did we spend upwards of $30,000 in that bike center in the documentation that you sent to us? And did we also use an unlicensed contractor to
That-
provide those services?
That, as far as I know, I don't.
You don't know that?
As far as I know, the contractor had the permits and the license that I was shown.
Okay, so when I informed you and talked to you about us contracting with the unlicensed contractor, not just for the bike center, but for several others, you said that you did not call the contractors board in Montgomery. Is that correct?
No, the state general
Contractors
contractor's
board,
office,
you
no.
did not.
No.
But he provided you something that looked like a
Yes, it
license
was,
that you've since
yeah,
found out
that-
that was not a license because we received a warning letter. Is that correct?
That, I'm not sure, though, the license that was brought before me was a state's license that comes from the county that covers a contractor for $50,000 or less. It's not a state general contractor's license, which is binding up to 150 and up. But based under what knowledge I had regarding licensing and contracts, everything was in place, including city and insurances were in place.
All right, let me ask you another question. You said based on the knowledge and information that you have since that time, do you have knowledge to say that that information that you received was not the correct information? Have you been informed about those 2 warnings that we've received from the state of Alabama?
I've been informed about one, but that was for a job that was over $50,000.
Okay, and I provided you with a copy of the law that states it can be a cumulative amount, that means adds up to 50,000, or it could be 50,000 or more. Either way it happens in that year's time, we could be fined if it came up to that, anything over $50,000. And so that bike center, based on that, the paperwork that we received, we've had a lot of payments made to an unlicensed contractor. They may have started out at $9,000, $19,000, don't quote me exactly, but it was a lot of money. I think it was upwards of $30,000. I'll go back and look for you because we need to make sure that we're not using him anymore. And I would love to take a look at it because and it could just be the way it was written in the system, but it was like $9,000 because they cleaned the bike center?
That's not true, but,
That's what the paperwork says. Now, it may not be true, but
Information
what the
with that,
paperwork.
I do have, like I say, any contractors that have done work, I have pictures prior to, as well as work that was done afterwards, as well as, the facilities is there to go and view.
Your position, Mr. Thompson, so you're saying I have pictures before and after, but the state says, I don't care how good of a job they do,
Sure.
they must have the
Sure.
correct license. And so we have to make sure that if you're bringing something to this body
That's
for
correct.
us to build,
That's
that
correct.
you have everything in place. We have the trust that you have the training necessary to provide us with the proper information, because when we make that vote, we're consenting with what you have brought to us.
That's correct.
And we made a vote for a building to be repaired for that unlicensed contractor based on the information that you presented at that work session. I asked you, was he licensed, and you informed me. But we know now that he's not, but it was based on that information. So I'm stating, we need to make sure that we're calling that over there, or they have.
Yes, from my interpretation now in regards to the state's general contractor's license and what I was informed on that, I'm aware of it and I'm aware of how the process goes.
And so do you understand now that it's not jobs over 50,000, it can be accumulated to 50,000?
Sure, accumulated.
Okay, so you, because I heard you say it was a job over 50,000.
Yeah, 50, yeah, but once you show the ones that were cumulative, but like I said, yeah, majority of that times I wasn't aware.
So if I email you the spreadsheet that shows you that, I think I got something just on my spreadsheet, and I didn't go through everything, I stopped because I wasn't getting invoices. But I can show you that there was $300,000 spent based on the information you all gave us from November 1st, 2016 through November the 1st, 2018. If I was to show you that one contractor received upwards of $300,000 and maybe more, and that we were really in violation of the law because we did not follow protocol or did not understand or know protocol.
Sure.
Would there be factual?
I don't know. We
So
can
then
review
you
the
brought up that
information.
We talked about it when it first came out.
Well, I would bring the spreadsheet to my office and let's review it, because that way I can review each one of the items as well as look at the information that I was given out as well.
The information that you were given. Mr. President, you
Yeah, while she looking for that, let me ask you this here. We got a bike rack. We have a bike rack?
Like, sir?
Yeah, I don't know. It's a bike rack. I'm saying wherever when tourists, we got bikes. We got bikes.
That's correct.
And I was reading something about they remodeled the bike rack, which I've been looking for.
Bike center.
Where is the bike center?
It's behind the Welcome Center.
It's behind the
Yes.
weapons center. So when our tourists come in, since we have these bikes, cause usually in other towns, they have the bikes. Like when people come in, they wanna ride.
Yes, ma'am.
Can we have those bikes brought out so when, the tourists come in, people like to ride over the area?
Well,
Do
there's
we have
some.
liability for them?
No, that's a part of the portion, as well as you have to have someone to actually work on them and make sure that they're mechanically working correctly prior to you. So you really need staff to actually do that, as well as either have them to sign a waiver. There's a lot of missing pieces to that portion. They were donated. They were gotten from the Department of Public Health.
Let me ask you, so you said that, you stated something that was not right, that's not true. Actually, I hate to be called well, you didn't call me a liar, you said it wasn't true. But on 12/15/2016, invoice number 9999785.1, to this unlicensed contractor, clean and repair bike area, $4,850. And on 12/30/16, 999,875, final payment, clean and repair bike area, and I can give you the check numbers, 97116, 97222, 4850. So that's about 9,000 to clean and repair the bike area. But I'm not, it doesn't stop there with the bike area. I'm just, construction of the bike facility was 9850, construction of the bike facility was 9850, contractual upgrade at bike center was 6400. So I would love to know this.
I wasn't saying that you were wrong. What I was saying was that the actual information that you have versus the actual copies of the information that I have will show into details what was actually done during each one of those
Right, so
processes.
you're saying what I've been saying for the last 6 months, that the data entered may be incorrect, so that's why we need further information and look at the invoices so we can determine. But it wouldn't be incorrect that this was an unlicensed contractor and he in fact received, based on my information, $260,585.38 to provide services to the city of Selma, and he was not licensed. That would not be incorrect.
Yeah, he did not have a state general's contract.
So
I'm still working in between the processes, and like I said, I went over there and spoke with them as well in regards to the policies and what you can have and what you can't have, and it was under my interpretation, there are various small projects that are done around the city with people that don't necessarily have state general contractor's license, and those are the smaller tasks in which end up being done around the city. So I wasn't aware at
So
that
what role
time.
do the tax and license play in this? So why do you have to do the examination when we have a tax and license bill down department, guys?
Clerk's office.
And a clerk?
Correct.
So as I stated, it may not be you, it's.
Well,
it's a
like I
breakdown in our
said,
system.
sure, and I'm more aware of, like I said, whatever information you need, I have documentation regarding different things, and we can review it.
Can I just make a suggestion?
Sure.
Maybe we can just do a workshop with the state and have a tax and license and the clerk be part of the process.
Definitely, because the procedures definitely need to be a lot better.
So the bike area that we're talking about
Yes,
is not in the old welcome center, it's the building, the room behind it used to be
yeah,
in.
the old Donnie G.
That's it. So that place was burned.
Yes, that's correct.
And so the money we spent went toward repairing the burned
That's correct.
elements of Dottie G's, because that never was finished, because Dottie G vacated that space upon the building,
That's
that area
correct.
burned.
That's correct.
So that's where it's located.
Yes.
And that's all those nice Trek bikes we got.
That's correct.
The brochures and the liability
Yes.
waivers and the sign-off cards and all that stuff still with that package.
That's
With the little round medallions, the label each bike.
Yes.
Right on.
And why don't we utilize, pay so much for?
Bikes were part of our Delphi grant, weren't it?
Right.
It was the Department of Public Health.
We cleaned, prepared this burn building.
Ain't
We
nobody
stayed
was
with
Personnel, I
Selma.
think, is the
It's
issue.
just, it is, it's contingent of having staff to actually, and we've attempted at one time to allow the Welcome Center to implement it into their portion, but with us having 2 staff down there at that time, the feasibility of doing it and being able to do it right and to make sure that everything is done in a complete way that's gonna be safe, as well as going to not allow somebody to run off with a bike or somebody fall or hit somebody, we didn't have the staff to do.
Let me ask, I'm gonna ask 2 more questions on that. Sure. So, did we think this process through when we decided to put the money in investing? Did we
Well,
think it through? Did we think about the personnel that we were going to need
Well,
to ensure that,
it-
because we got it in place, but we
It
hadn't
went
utilized
over,
the
yeah,
system.
it kept covered over several years, and basically there was a plan in
Back in about
place.
2013.
It was actually, 2013 when it actually started, and they donated us the bikes, and we wanted to set it up.
So we
And-
may have spent more money on this than the money.
No,
this-
not for that center.
Oh.
That center wasn't in place. The getting of the bikes was the initial process of that. And one time we had said we were gonna have it housed out of the St. James Hotel, which kind of just was a mixture of different things that happened that made it not happen ultimately.
You're in charge of the Welcome Center, is that correct?
Yes.
We have down here, just based on the information that was given to us, all those about approximately 3,000 documents, that we spent $11,000 on Welcome Center doors.
Welcome Center over.
It says oversized Welcome Center doors. I can give you the check numbers, and I just wanted to see what type of Welcome Center oversized doors with locks installed. check number 97731 and
Those
971.
are the metal doors, the door that's on the actual bike center, and it's the door on 19 Washington Street.
So it's not-
actually a steel door, which is the other end.
Okay, so is it the Welcome Center?
It's not.
It's the bike area.
It's that whole building ultimately, because like I said, that's the tourism area that we actually utilize within that. And they're oversized because they're made of steel.
Okay, and so that would be the reason they're $11,000. Because I've been
I'm
down to the
very
Welcome Center, and
sure.
I'm thinking, I don't see doors that's worth
No.
$11,000.
And not only that, I need to make sure that even the front doors in the welcomes, those two glass doors, if I'm not mistaken, were replaced as well. But I'll have to review that.
Okay.
But hopefully we can just remove the contractors doing the work, find out how they certified.
Sure.
And I
Well,
think-
that's a
I
part
think-
of the process now.
Yeah, I think it would be more ideal.
And I know that was something that you all stated, that you wanted to make sure that people were stated.
Yeah, but we have a tax
License.
license and also we have a,
That's correct, clerk.
Councilwoman Glenn.
So,
So yeah, that was part of what I was gonna say. You've answered a lot of questions for a lot of people, department heads who are not here. Thank you. I don't know how you became the expert in it. So, you know, we had a, I guess he was a subcontractor to come to us some years ago at the time, and his complaint was that we're not giving him any jobs. He was not getting the job, and we were getting the job for everybody else. And we all know, you know, certain contractors
Yes.
here make a lot of money. But what we did for that gentleman, and I'm trying to see if contractors will be invited to this upcoming meeting, we gave him information on what he needed to become a bonded contractor, which he did not know or was not aware that he needs to actually go and become a bonded contractor someplace else, not through us, but someplace else. And he did that, and that gentleman would come to be known as Mr. Jerry Woods. And he did that, and he went to get all of his paperwork. But this person that we're talking about, I just hope as a courtesy from the city that we are making sure that he knows he needs to go to the state. He knows now that he needs to go get everything he needs, because, you know, it's a lot of work in the city, and we don't need to be giving it to just one person, one contractor. Spread the love, spread the wealth. So we need to be helping folks who are going to be paying taxes here. All folk who are going to be paying taxes here, giving them the correct information that they need, because it's not through us, but we can send them to where they need to be. And hopefully, I heard you all talk about a meeting that's coming up. Hopefully, these contractors will be invited to this meeting as well, because it proved very effective for some when they came to us complaining that they could not get work from us. Little did they know they couldn't get certain work from us because they did not have the credentials that they needed to get work from us.
Yes.
So can you help me facilitate that, Mr.
Yes, I would love to.
All right, Councilman Randolph.
well, never mind, because she here, what else?
All right.
Oh, I hit on your topic.
Okay, with your written, was here for resolution.
Okay, greetings. I'm actually here, I have two resolutions that I wanted to present to you all today. And the first one I want to present is R125-1819. It's the authorization to accept administering of the CDAP Delta Regional Authority Award on behalf of the city of Selma's portion. This is basically a contract that we received a letter on behalf of the Selma Redevelopment Authority wanting to authorize the city of Selma to administer this grant. This was for the Wi-Fi grant, which was a total of $75,000, which was written earlier this year and awarded on behalf of the Selma Redevelopment Authority. I think due to recent employment changes within their area and some of the actual processes and how the actual workings of the actual grant And working with the Delta Regional Authority became a little overwhelming, so they actually reached out to the city of Selma, as we were a partner with them anyway, in regards to authorizing the city to basically take over this grant and make sure that it's utilized for the Wi-Fi over this city. So basically, they wrote a letter that basically submitted that request to the city.
Did they submit it to the granting authority?
Yes, that basically, it can't until we approve it, basically because they can't give it to us unless we're willing to accept it. And then once it is accepted, then it goes to the Delta Regional Authority to basically say they're okay with the city of Selma continuing on with the grant.
Councilwoman Thomas?
So this grant that they're being awarded, is gonna be a part of the Wi-Fi for here in the city center?
Yes, ma'am.
And one of the same, based on the same information that the mayor was talking about, the Wi-Fi support.
Now, with that, you have to, because there's two different projects of that. This one is basically for the downtown area. This was through the Selma Redevelopment Authority, which covers the downtown area.
Mm-hmm.
The plan in which the mayor is working on is a little larger because that was dealing with the bond.
So, but you are going to, this grant here will be used for the downtown?
Yes,
I think this grant has been in existence for 2
it
years.
has, it has.
Yeah, Mr. President, I attended a meeting, over at Art Revives, they're using for only this $75,000. That was gonna be helpful in the Wi-Fi and the technology for, and I think this $75,000 need to be put to use quickly. And it's
Well,
not-
that's
I think
another thing that.
I think we
really-
have one year left.
Yes, and basically, the Delta Regional Authority has put a real press on grants that they have been administering, and they've had a habit of pulling back funds regarding projects that take a long time. The head person prior to this time was a lot more lenient than the current person they have now, who is basically pushing to get projects started, underway, and completed.
So this would in fact get the ball rolling and utilizing this
Yeah.
$75,000.
That's correct.
Because we only have 1 year left, I think. Councilwoman Jackson?
Are we going to contract out? Are we gonna do a bid and contract this amount out to get the Wi-Fi downtown?
It may be, depending on what we're looking at doing is we're looking at materials in which this grant has 4 different pieces. It's required set up under the budget. It was budgeted for equipment, construction, and engineering, if I'm not mistaken, those 3 areas. But a lot of the things in which if we have staff that can do certain things, we're gonna look to do modifications to try to get more equipment, if we can, that our own staff could do, and things that we can't do, we will contract out to have someone to implement it.
And so you're gonna come back to the council before you contract that out? Let me ask, were you getting permission? Because of course, I know you know that when you modify any grants for any reasons, that you have to get permission.
Yeah,
Grant adjustment notice.
we've had a conversation on the phone with them. More than half of the grant is already scheduled for equipment, in which the difference in between when SRA was doing it, we couldn't utilize city staff to install grant material. So ultimately, what we're looking to modify it is we want to get more for less. We want to be able to utilize more equipment so we can spread it a lot further and utilize it throughout more of the downtown area.
And you want to use city employees that are already currently on payroll and know how to do this type of work.
That's my vision for it.
We're gonna make sure
that has to
we're-
happen. That has to happen after this, though. This is not contingent right now. Basically, what we're doing now, we want to put the process in place so that the grant will be under the tutelage of the city, and then we're gonna look to see if we can modify it
Okay.
after that time.
All right, Mr. Thompson, next.
Okay, and the last one is R126. It's authorization to award construction on the Delta Regional Lafayette Estate Drainage.
That's R126?
That's correct.
Just got an R on mine.
Yeah, it's an R1.
And R.
Okay.
Oh, you all don't have it? Oh.
We'll put both of them on the thing tomorrow.
Does that mean we have to update one?
That should have been the only change. That's normally when it goes down to the clerk's office to get a number, so you all probably got it before it got the number.
On 46 or 26?
26.
Okay.
Okay, on the, this is the Delta Regional Grant that the city got to do drainage work in Lafayette Estates subdivision out off of Lincoln Drive and Highway 80. We received bids 2 or 3 weeks ago from 3 bidders. They were licensed. We always, I'll say this, if you look on our tabulation for bid, one of the things we do is we verify if a contractor is licensed in Alabama and is licensed to do the type of work he's bidding on. That's also a part of it. I will say this, Councilwoman, you may not realize it, but when a bidder turns in a bid over $50,000, he's required to write, we require them to write their bid number on the outside of their bid, their Alabama bid number, their license number. By doing so, that relieves us as the engineer and it relieves the city of any liability. But if he writes a license on there and he's not licensed, I'm not sure if it's a misdemeanor or a felony, but it's pretty strong. So, but we do verify. We get on the website, general contractor website, the day before the bid opening. We verify that their license is current on all of our bids. And I just want to bring that up since y'all had a long discussion.
Can you be part of the workshop?
Do what?
Can you be part of the workshop?
I'll be glad to. I'm here.
Can I skip this?
They did say and put that if someone gave us some information that looked, it may have been erroneous, that the city would not be liable
That's
for
right.
receive those fines. And so we needed to make sure that we didn't do it again.
That's right. Now, I do that on, this is the only way we've ever done it. But anyway, we advertised properly. We got 3 bids. Smithman Brothers, who's local, Tri-County, who's local, and McDonald, who I think is from Union Springs. Low bidder was Smithman Brothers at $89,057. That was more than we had in the budget, in the grant. We had $69,310. That grant is the Delta Regional Authority grant, and it's administered by the Alabama Tom Bigby Regional Commission, ATRC as I call it. Had a lot of conversations with them. We went back and reviewed the project. We even got down and crawled down in the pipe, and there's one section of pipe. There's one section of pipe over there on the south side of, is that Tippett Drive? Is that right? All right, it's just got to be replaced. It's metal, it's corroded. There's about 4 big holes in the ground. There's no way we can get around that. But on the other side is concrete pipe. But what we found, we got down in there, the pipe itself is in excellent condition. It's just at the joints. And the joints aren't sealed real good. And what that does is when it rains hard, and we've had a lot of hard rain, as everybody knows, the last couple of years, especially back in the fall, the water, not only water runs in there, but it'll take some dirt with it. And then we have problems with the driveways sinking, and this is on a city easement, by the way. The city's got an easement going through there. Anyway, we came up with a plan to get it within the budget, and that being we won't replace that concrete pipe, but we'll go down and we'll dig down on every single joint, and the joints are 4 feet apart. We'll go in and we will grout them in and put a piece of, it's standard now to put a piece of filter fabric across that joint. And what that'll do is in the future, when it rains, if water wants to seep into the pipe, that's okay, but it won't, the fabric will prevent dirt from seeping in there. We got with the low bidder, who was Smithman Brothers, and we came up, and y'all should have copies. They have copies of it.
I like to email it to
We
you.
pass around somebody's original, Henry's original.
What we did, this was what we call a unit price bid, and there were 16 individual bid items on there, so we know how much that pipe costs per foot of pipe or whatever. or per inlet, or, every part of the project was bid on individual items. So what we did is we eliminated the 200 feet of pipe that is okay, and we knew how much per foot it was. I can tell you it's, I don't know, $110 a foot, I think. No, $84 a foot. So we eliminated that, then we added back a cost of seating those joints. We got it with just under the budget, and our recommendation in our letter is to award the contract to Smithman Brothers Construction while simultaneously authorizing a change order be executed, reducing the contract amount by $20,404. It'll bring the total project down to $68,653, which is less than our budget of $69,310.
So we're looking at doing a change order, in concert with the, moving forward with Smithman.
That's correct. I don't think you can approve the contract with Smithman Brothers because it's above your budget without simultaneously approving it.
Is that
I'm asking, that's why I'm
Yeah,
putting on
it's
Yeah.
included in the
Yeah.
resolution of that.
Is there any part of that project is gonna go back because of that reduction?
Because, say that again.
Is there any part of that project gonna be reduced because of that, $20,000 reduction?
Yeah, well, here's what we're gonna do. There's a page that shows what's reduced and what's added. We're taking out 200 feet of pipe and leaving the 200 feet of pipe in place. And what we're gonna do is then contractors gotta go and dig down on every 4 feet of the pipe and literally rehabilitate the concrete pipe joints. So it's saving the $20,000 in effect.
So all of this in the red, Mr. President, may I speak?
Go ahead, David. Councilwoman.
All of this in the red is the $20,000, Mr. Hall.
So that-
Okay, I see 13,000. I was wondering how it equal 20,000. I'm looking at the red.
Okay, there's different items in there. We eliminated an inlet. We had to eliminate some pavement repair. I mean, there's more than just the pipe itself. There's several little items in there.
Yeah.
You are correct. And by the way, this grant is a 100% grant from the Delta Regional Authority.
So where you have the pavement repair on line 11, you're not eliminating the pavement repair.
Where what we're gonna do, the pipe under the road, we're not gonna have to do anything at all to it. We're gonna leave it in place.
Okay.
There's only one section, and so we don't have to repair that pavement. Now, there is some driveway that's gotta be repaired.
Yeah.
One lady's driveway, and then some fence and a brick column that we gotta remove and replace, but they'll stay in the project.
They will stay in the project?
Yes.
And we won't have a pavement that needs repair because we leave it in the pipe?
That's correct.
Okay. I just want to understand a little bit.
Councilwoman Jackson.
Have we discussed this with, Smithman Brothers?
Yes, we bid them out there.
And they're okay?
We went down in the pipe, actually let one of Smithman's guys crawl down in the inlet and get in the pipe. I just didn't feel like I'm too old to do all that. I can't. Anyway, but yes, they met us on site and we discussed it with them and they agreed to it. And by the way, they said they can get started right away.
Amen. All right.
All right. Any other questions?
The Senator.
Thank you.
I have a question.
Oh, I'm sorry. I couldn't see it.
Did you get a chance to look at that main home cave in on the corner of
Yeah,
Fifth?
we got them coming back to town to work on that.
Yeah, because you see where they did some work next to it?
Yeah, we did. And then I know Mrs. Thomas is gonna ask me a question.
Yeah, I'm asking a question.
I gotta go watch a basketball game tonight. Hopefully they got good referees.
If your contractor you lease out, we wouldn't have to ask you this, keep asking you. Did you talk to the gentleman again?
I did. What day did you talk to me last week? Thursday, Friday?
Yeah, but you didn't call him back.
Oh, okay, well, I'm sorry. But we talked to him about 5 minutes after I talked to you, and he was supposed to send a crew down here Friday. Did he come over the weekend?
But what can we do, about that, because it's like, they tearing up the streets in the city of Selma. Not only him, the water work, I'm gonna talk about that, but they don't come back and
part of it, the same thing has happened in Sam.
and it's just don't make, you don't do it in no,
enough money. We hadn't paid him for his pavement repair yet on that contract. Here's what happened through the winter. It rained every other day. And that compound's a problem. He came in a couple of times and he filled it back up temporarily with rocks. He couldn't get asphalt because the asphalt plant wasn't running because it was either too cold or it was raining. They're not gonna run 1 ton of asphalt. You know, they gotta run it when they're doing a bunch of other work. But now the weather's quit raining, and now it's warm. So when we talked to him last week on Friday, after I talked to you, I think I told you Meredith, who's my boss, my daughter, she's my boss, was sitting in the truck and she riding with me. She called him right then and talked to the contractor, and he said he was gonna get somebody to come on down here. Now, I don't know if it was done, and I probably should have called him.
He's part of this, people you got now is on this contract.
That company's name is Trento.
Okay, well, Trente need to come on and.
Well, I think there's some of the sand board that's gotta be worked on, and he's the guy that's gonna work on that manhole for you. We'll get him here this week. I'll tell you that if I gotta go get him and bring him down.
Hold on, Councilwoman, what you talking about?
I'm talking right on the corner of First Avenue.
First
Church.
church.
Yeah.
It rained today, like today, it rained. Now, whenever it rains, it makes the asphalt, it don't be the rock.
He's going to put asphalt down. Right.
It make the hole, now, maybe tomorrow, you might have a big old hole. And then you come back and put more in there. But why not stop Band-Aid it and let's get the problem?
That's my point. He needs to come on back in and fix all of it, put the asphalt back in there, and then it doesn't hurt it. That's, instead of temporary, anyway, I'm gonna have a conversation.
Because you know who gets chewed out about this?
You, and then
Me.
you chew on me.
And you know, when they call me, I get cussed out, and you know, I tell them, I said, I call Mr. Ray Hall every other day. He said, it's subbed out by another company, and I understand my car goes through there, a lot of people's cars go through there, but it should not have to happen like this.
I agree, and I'm gonna have when I talk to the contractor rather than Meredith, I can talk to him a little more sternly. And I won't talk to him in the morning. I asked her about it. I asked her this morning if she heard from him over the weekend. She said, no, they hadn't. She did. I heard her talk to the guy Friday. I'm gonna talk to the.
Well, can you go ahead on, since you had paid, can you go ahead on and fix that, get that paid? You can call a contract out to fix that.
You actually can do that.
Well, maybe.
And so we may just tell him we've got that option.
Well, we might need to go ahead and do that.
Now, but
this is a major problem.
I just can't, I gotta write him a nice letter, but.
Well, I've been calling you 3 weeks and he ain't been.
Call me tomorrow afternoon, I'll tell you what I know. I don't mind you calling.
Councilman,
Thank you.
You know, you came out on, mechanic.
Yeah, you need a little write-up.
Yeah, I need you to write and describe what needs to be done to.
I'll get that.
All right, thank you.
all right, any other questions for Mr. Thompson and, Mr. Ray?
Rain. Sidebar.
Anything else, Mr. Thompson?
Mr. Thompson, I want
Hey,
to.
please get with us. Let's go to the board later.
Okay.
I want to still look for that. I want to see that place you was talking about. Them, you know, place where you said the bikes at, back there?
The lights.
The bikes.
Oh, okay. Yeah, well,
You know, I've been looking, I haven't seen that place you just said.
Okay, we can set up an appointment.
Okay.
Just let me know.
Thank
Now to the business, Councilwoman Benjamin, do you have to go? I don't know. I'm gonna ask you.
Councilwoman Thomas and Councilwoman Jackson, we don't mind if I do number 8.
You go ahead on do.
Number 8, y'all, it's the grass is growing. The April showers, okay? Make grass. That does not rhyme, but anyway, it's grass cutting season and we need to figure out what we're gonna do about all of this grass, all of these weeds that are growing up with the short staff and the budget issues. We need to talk about how the grass is gonna be either outsourced or used, or we're gonna get it cut by whoever is available. And I don't even know who's available to cut grass anymore. I lost count. So we need to talk about that.
I'm glad you brought that up, because, you know, I don't want us to outsource it. If anything, you can hire the guy in the back that was cutting grass, the ones that's the expert that's laid off. you know, bring those guys back before we outsource it.
I'm with you.
So,
Maybe we can pool our all this money.
there you go, that crazy talk.
Yeah.
And we ain't got to pool our money together. We ain't got to do that, that's crazy talk. We ain't finna entertain that.
Well, that's all we need to do.
Well, like I said, before we contract anything out, bring those people back that was driving zero-turn modes and all that, you know. And matter of fact, can we make a motion that we allow outsourcing? So they won't, and then we put it in their hands, let them know that we not gonna outsource cutting grass, we're gonna hire some of the employees back, because outsourcing,
Doesn't make sense, do it?
that don't make sense.
Well, you got to keep it.
It was brought to me, so I wanted to make sure I knew your sentiments.
I got no problem with that, but let's get on something and get to work with. Let's give them.
Can we use all of this
Yeah, I
money
think
to
we
cut
can.
grass?
I think we can.
I can't use it to cut a tree down and that's.
You can use the clean drains out, not cut
I mean,
grass.
or at least, I mean, not or at least for discretionary,
Yeah, you
just
can't
do a
use
contract.
The ordinance-
Also, two council members, you two council members, go ahead.
So it's important, you know, I like the conversation and everything, but it's important for us to come to a resolve. Because, with this grass comes, rodents and all snakes,
Public safety.
all public safety issues, and then we're gonna end up having to declare a public safety issue. But if we can get out in front of it and go ahead and get some resolve, that's why I put it on the
How
agenda.
about probably this avenue we probably take is maybe discretionary to see.
Can somebody come up with a quote?
You know,
That'll take the, pay the
you know,
people
I
who
don't
cut
think we
grass.
use discretionary funds. We can use, we can use public works. We can use the money from those positions that we defunded downstairs. That's where your money, those defunded positions. We just take from them line items and hire those people back, and then get the grass cut.
Also, two council members need to keep in mind, I think, as far as with the unemployment, I think it's only allowed up to 6 months.
Yes.
And I think that time is, it's coming to a close. You can get an extension from my understanding, but you have to go back. But I think we're at a very critical point now where it needs to be announced whether the employees are fired or they're gonna be able to come back, because if not, we may have to end up paying the vacation time and all that. So we definitely start zoning in on that, because based on the labor
Phasing them
laws,
in.
you know, either you're gonna phase them in, or if we're not gonna bring them back, we want to, you know, give them their vacation time and everything. And I think we need to find out how much that's gonna be, because we want to factor that in along with the unemployment that they will receive.
And also, I hope, while we're on that subject, I hope that we can, change our employee handbook. Because it said, when someone leaves the city, they only get 80 hours, but that's unfair to them. I want to give them whatever vacation time they got, because it's a trumped up layoff from the get-go. If they got 380 hours, we pay them whatever they got. You know, let's change from that 8 hours, because
To whatever they have.
whatever they got left, because it don't make no sense. Because they not, you know, believe it or not, the mayor not gonna bring those people back, because he got too much pride. He got too much pride. It's all about a pride thing. You know, it's simple to bring those employees back, because he been saving money, that's what he said, but they've been spending more than they saving.
And then they come back and get them a union, because it's
Yeah.
a legal union. They're not worried about that.
All right, Councilwoman Benjamin, for you.
Well, speaking of that, but I wasn't speaking of that, but speaking of that, Mr. President, perhaps you could update us on the treasurer situation. He said like tomorrow.
Yes.
If-
Yeah.
Like tomorrow, if you could talk to Mr. Attorney Siegel.
He might not talk to me, because we got a bill we still owe.
Tell him come on down.
No, we have to vote on it. We have to vote
Oh,
on it.
okay,
We'll do it
okay. So
tomorrow.
let's vote on that, so he'll talk to us, and we can,
Question is how we gonna pay it?
straighten some things out.
What funds are we gonna pay about the city?
Well, we can, I think we have a line item in that attorneys, attorney Nunn.
You were trying to
Oh,
find out.
go ahead, but we'll look at it, we'll find a way.
And then you was trying to find out, you know, Maya said it was some funding there, that nobody did know the money. That need to know what that money is there for.
So that's a way, that's a way.
That's right, need to find out what's that money there for.
Okay, all right, but we definitely need to move forward with that, with this payment tomorrow, and move forward with that.
Yeah, because if we can buy $1 million doors, I think we can figure out how to.
All right, and of course, also too, go ahead, Councilwoman, I go ahead.
No, I got the cue, you're right, cut me off.
Don't drop the mic now. Councilwoman, Thomas, your business item?
Okay, the other one is a billing discussion. We have 3 bids. I would like for us to move with this on the Smithman building. I've been holding these bids here. The Smithman building, you know, we talked about this before about getting it, you know, they had the air conditioning stolen. And we looked at, they came, did you get that information on where they wrote the letter? Did you get the letter?
Did it supposed to come from Jared people?
No, they came with a,
The Friends of the Smith.
what they was gonna put up $10,000.
I never received that.
Well, they came with the letter. You did get that, Cole, who gave you that?
So there's a $13,000 check that the mayor stated that we got for, insurance on those units, but there was $10,000 in deductibles that we could not use. And so it's going to cost about $30,000, and so the Friends of the Smitherman, if I'm explaining right, Councilwoman, you started.
You explain.
Okay. The Friends of the Smitherman said that they would donate to the city those 2 deductibles, $5,000 for each occurrence, those 2 deductibles. And we would pay the difference, which equates to about $7,000 to $9,000 to go ahead and install the new units and get cameras and lights there.
So are we gonna, we're gonna vote tomorrow?
Yeah, they
Yes,
have
that's what
3
she's asking.
bids.
So what bid are we looking at?
So instead of her just going to one person and saying, because, you know, it's under $50,000, she could have just gone to one person. She went to 3, because, you know, we say when we get
You say
in
you have
quotes,
to
so it's
get-
actually not a bid, it's a quote. And so she wanted the body to look at the quotes and determine, or I guess you could determine which one you want to go with, and she wanted a recommendation to move forward, because the check is just sitting down there.
The check in the office.
So are you gonna make that recommendation up on
Yes.
your bill?
And I'm gonna give each one of, I'm gonna run this off and
Okay.
give it to each council tomorrow.
So
We're gonna
that,
have to determine who you're gonna ask.
that's gonna come up under your public building committee report tomorrow. You're gonna vote on the day?
Yes, I wanna go ahead, we
Okay.
need to move on, so,
You can start
The reason why I'm
installing.
saying is, I'm not gonna put it on consent, you're just gonna make the recommendation through your public buildings.
and
Okay,
don't we have to vote on it?
yeah,
Okay.
okay, you just bring it up when it comes down to your committee report.
Okay.
Okay. Anything, equipment update, I think we have already taken care of that.
And,
Ordinance,
yeah, I wanna find out, this is the month that we're supposed to receive our ordinance.
in April.
And today is what day is it? The 7th.
April.
The 8th. I wanted you to check and see have our ordinance fund came in, because we have some streets
Okay,
in our community that we really need to take care of.
okay.
That bad, honestly.
Yeah, go ahead, I'll take tomorrow.
Okay, can you please?
Yes, ma'am.
Because I've been promising people
I need
on Chris Haver and,
Okay,
yeah, I need to give them the information on that. They've been waiting on, that street we got to fix that.
okay, all right, but I'll take on that ordinance first thing,
Please.
That's everything for you, Council?
And then when they do building bids on repair, the city property, can they, like, let us know, and, because some of the things that they do to the buildings and things, saying to be repaired, and it's like be over 5,000, can they come before us and let us know?
They already voted that.
Standard procedure.
But I'm just saying, lately, there's some work being done that, that's why I'm saying this. I want to ask the president, I know we voted on this, there's a lot of stuff we vote on that they don't carry out. So, as the committee of the building, of the city property, I'm asking that we stay with what we vote on, that they come before us, because there's some work being done that has not been before the council. And I'm quite sure it looked like over 5,000, it's way over $5,000. So I just want to know, can we go by that?
Councilman Randall. Yes.
Is there one way you can solve these unnecessary spending? If we didn't come before the council, we ain't paying. That's the only thing I do.
What?
Whoever authorizes it, they pay. If the mayor sends somebody to fix on the building, they ain't coming for it, he paid out his own money.
They gonna do that.
We're gonna have to get straight. Yes, we do. If anybody downstairs pay somebody and it didn't come to us, we tell them no, we defund your position. We can't fight it, but we can defund your position. And we need to send a letter to them girls downstairs and state that, because it's continuing to happen. We voted that before, said any expenditure had come before us. Anything. And they still spend and they ain't coming before us.
That's what I wanted to say, that you got it in, that we keep saying 5,000, guys. October the 23rd, 2018, we said anything. So it changed. We said in September, I think it may have been September, October 2017, when the first started having some rumblings, the first layoff of our treasurer, we said 5,000 round up. But October 23rd, look at the meeting minutes. We said all expenditures. You could pay for payroll and continuing the lights, gas, water, the insurance. And all other expenditures that they're incurring is supposed to come before us, and it's not happening.
And that would be
you sent a memo because Miss Sykes, she actually.
I need to pull that memo back up.
And then, if we do it like that, that means that, like if we have a work session or council, sometimes you might have something with emergency, but we need to have it where that anything that's when we have like street cave-in and stuff like that, and we don't meet but 2 times out of the month, and when we need this stuff done, it's hard right now getting stuff done. We be putting all this stuff in place, but ain't nothing that when we put in place is carried out. When we got things going on in our ward and things need to be fixed, it don't make no sense that the leaders have to constantly call and beg to get things done in our ward. And we have to wait till somebody approve it, or who decides if they want to approve it. So we need them. I'm serious. This don't look good for when it was the constituent called me and tell me, well, Councilwoman told me you ain't come. Well, I did the contract, but I gotta wait on so and so.
But did we do an ordinance where the mayor refused to sign that I signed?
Yeah, and that's what I try to, you try to work with the mayor and everything, and you don't talk to nobody but certain people. So when there's an emergency that needs to be done in your ward, the people elect you to take care of the things that are going on. So I just want to say, when it's like that, I like to move on my stuff. I don't like to lie to people,
All right.
That's all I want to say.
Thank you, Councilwoman. Councilwoman Jackson, financial monitoring.
Okay, I got two items, based on our own rules, and this is something that the mayor stated in our meeting, that we don't follow our own rules, because if we said all expenditures, we're actually not bringing our expenditures, so, before the council. So I would like it to be placed on the consent agenda, my, Capital Streetscapes invoice purchase order. It was on the last set of purchase orders. It was out of the general fund, however, it's actually for my oil lease, in the amount of $8,747, to be paid to Capital Streetscapes.
Can you email it to me too?
Can I give you this?
Okay, that's it. All right, thank you.
So I brought it with me, so I can make sure that you put that on the consent agenda for me to go ahead and pay it out of my oil lease funds for three only. Also, I would like to, have on the consent agenda preferably, but if not, we can bring it up for discussion, as part of my financial monitoring, that, council members acting in their official capacity not have to fill out the, release of information, the Freedom of Information Act, notification. I went down this past week to get some information regarding this, Duncan's request to come before the council. I want to be able to speak on the issue intelligently and, be informed. And I was given a piece of paper and told that I need to fill it out. And I began filling it out. And then I asked, when will I receive this information, because it's gonna be before the council on Monday at work session, and they said, and so, I mean, I know the Selma Times-Journal said they turned something in 2 or 3 times back last year, like November, December. Have you all gotten your information yet? Okay, so they haven't received their information, and, you know, I think, I know the law states that if we're acting in our official capacity, we don't have to do that, and I don't know why we're being impeded from doing our jobs. All I wanted to be able to do was speak to Ms. Duncan's concern regarding the art camp in a way that I could either argue for or argue against or argue whatever. I just want to be informed if they have money that come in, they have actually a grant. And so I want to see what was the hang up with allowing them to have this art camp this year, something that has been great for our city all these years. I wanted to look at the books and see where we were, and I wasn't allowed to do that. In addition, if you read her email that she sent to the entire council, there's an oxymoron there, because it clearly states that it is the role of the council for the finances. I mean, laid out the law clearly. And then the next statement stated, and we will not, due to a lack of funds, we will not allow this project this year. Where if it's our role, I think that the next statement should have said, you should get on the council's work session agenda, go before the council and request if they would allow the funds or based on the funding, or, but to say the council is in charge of this, but you can't have it, it seems like the roles, you've taken on both roles. You gave her the law. Councilman, sure you're pulling it up now?
Yes.
You want to read it out for me?
Well, I'm
Okay.
responding to the email. It said due to lack of funds, the city.
No, read the whole email. I mean, the whole response. Give the law.
Okay, Code of Alabama, 1975, Section 11-43-56, Management and Control of Finances and Property of Municipalities. Except as otherwise provided in this title, the council shall have the management and control of the finances and all of the property, real and personal, belonging to the city or town. In parentheses, this includes routine, recurring expenses which are necessary to the operation of a municipality, such as compensation of officers and employees, closed. Due to lack of funds, the city of Selma are unable at the current time to bring back employees in the ceramic program. It is my hope that the city council increase revenues soon. And this was signed by Ms. Sabrina Simmons.
I thought your request asked for the art camp. Did it ask for the ceramic program?
Well, it said that we would like to.
We would like it, but your discussion was how can I go forward with the art camp? So I
addressed the
fingered
grant money specifically.
for art camp, because your grant is for art camp. Okay, and so what I wanted to do is look at the grant funds for the art camp, see how much that the revenue that was gained from the art camp on last year, see how much it costs on last year, and determine if we were in a position that this could go forward. Because actually, based on the funds, if there were enough income, it may actually be able to go forward, but we weren't given that opportunity because it stated, hey, they're over the finances, but due to the lack of finances, we are unable to do that, and that's why I went to the financial department to determine. It didn't even address your concern regarding your grant.
Excuse me, but according to Mr. Duncan's communication, it states the ceramic and art camps, it was all inclusive.
She did say it was all inclusive, but her focus was the art camp, seeing as though if you read all the way to her from her first
She
email.
had $56,000 in grant
Grant funding.
to help put the camp on by June the 10th through the 14th.
Yeah, the camp. So even if we're not able to bring those employees back for the ceramic, because of this grant, let's look at go before the council and determine if the council will allow you to have the art camp.
We just told her today.
Right, but we're talking about the email.
Oh, okay.
They say it's, hey, the city, the council's in charge of it, but due to a lack of it. And I mean, I would have liked to have seen that we wait, say, if in the email it says that it costs us $30,000, you only generated $23,000, and so your grant doesn't cover that, see if the city council would cover the difference through their discretionary. I mean, give me some more information to go on, or at least allow me to obtain that information. So I would like a motion, to make a motion or place on the consent agenda that council members acting in their official capacity is not impeded from receiving financial documents. That should not be the process, because I need to go down there. Only way we're able to speak about items in an informed way is that we have the opportunity to speak to those, because it's ever changing, the budget and the expenditures and things of that sort. So I would like to have an opportunity to have done it.
Can you text me that?
And you might can have tomorrow, Cora might forget for you.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, if the process is only you can get the information, that's gonna, I don't mind sending you every request, but it's gonna clog you up.
Okay, Councilwoman Benjamin, legal update. I would have something for tomorrow. Grass cutting, we already talked about, jazz on the grass, one hot summer. And my business item is gonna be, lawsuits or resolution. I'm gonna be asking to see a copy of all the lawsuits that we have settled with. And not only the lawsuits that, we have settled, with city employees. I want to break down what department they came from. And, I will be, moving forward to see, independent lawsuits and also any lawsuits that we have settled.
So,
Go ahead.
wait a minute, lawsuits we've settled, I'm just asking because we generally receive a.
It used to do the annex.
Right,
Yeah.
and then we receive something saying these are the lawsuits and these are the amounts.
Matter of fact, we have to vote on tomorrow
city.
night. We
Right.
have an annex statement that we have to vote on tomorrow night in the amount of $46,777.94. We're gonna, $46,777.94. I'm gonna give you a copy of this, we're gonna place it on consent agenda.
I want to look at that before we place
what
it
is
on
it?
the agenda.
Yeah, but I'm gonna give you a copy of it.
That's more than one case,
Yeah, in several cases,
Yeah,
yeah.
but-
But usually when we settle a claim, it goes through the annex.
Right.
We have to vote on it, but I just want to make sure that any pending lawsuits, have we made any, settlement? Because I know based on the ones we're gonna vote on tomorrow night, will it be any additional settlements that we have voted on as far as it relates to lawsuits?
And also,
Go ahead.
These are just claims, these are not lawsuits.
No, those are claims, yeah, but I'm talking about far as the lawsuits, I'm asking about the lawsuits. Any pending lawsuits and also returning lawsuits that we have against the city, because I know in the past, Attorney Dunn used to bring us a list of them.
Yeah, he did.
and then we used to get a list of if any lawsuit that has been, settled.
Yeah, I'm asking
We
for,
hadn't seen any lately, but we have had some settled. So my question is this, I asked this question because I would, if an employee is suing the department head that works for the city, and they come to a conclusion of agreement to sell, that person in the department head, the city has a lawyer that represents them, don't they?
Yes, ma'am.
And the lawyer that represents that department head, the insurance would pay the claim off if they decide to make a settlement with
Yes,
him.
ma'am.
So you're saying like the insurance will be the one to say if this person will be getting
A settlement?
yeah, but they would not be paying them the full, they'll be paying them like a regular pay.
Well, based on my limited knowledge, when it's a settlement, usually they can either pay upfront everything, or they can, pay the increments.
Like pay period, they can pay them in pay period?
Well, basically, it depends on what the settlement is about. So hopefully, if you go in on, like I said, if we get a list of all the pending lawsuits and also the settlements, we can get a full understanding of whether it was a one-time payment or are they paying in increments.
That's what I'm saying.
Yes, ma'am.
So if it's not a one-time payment, if they're paying them on a pay period, does the insurance do it like that?
They can do it, yes, ma'am.
Oh, okay.
They can do it like that. It's based on how they set it up.
Oh, okay.
Yes, ma'am, it's based on how they set it up. But like I said, once we get the information, we can see all the pending lawsuits that we have, and if there have been any settlements, not saying that we've had some settlements.
Oh, okay.
Good idea.
All right.
Okay? All right. How many, we need to also tomorrow night vote on the delegation for the convention. It's gonna be down in Mobile, yeah. Anyone going out to the Mobile trip?
Oh, yeah.
Okay,
I'm going.
we need to go ahead and vote on a delegate and also an alternate. Councilwoman Thomas, you're gonna be the delegate, and Councilwoman Jackson, you're gonna be the alternate.
I'll do that.
Okay, we're gonna put it on the consent agenda tomorrow to vote on.
Cause she'll be going down before me.
Okay.
He has.
But we definitely need to go ahead and get it to Ms. Harris.
Y'all make sure y'all get y'all rooms and stuff paid for.
Oh, I did that for, oh, baby, oh, yes, we have.
I know I have mine.
Don't let them put the rope up on y'all.
Now, baby, put the rope on me, I'm coming back to sell me wide open.
No, you gonna stay.
Also, too, far as with the consent agenda, far as with the consent agenda, we, tomorrow, I think we need to go ahead and ratify the firm, the event for tomorrow night. Also ratify the firm,
Can we ratify it first? And
yeah, we probably did. Also ratify the firm, the Evans Center for, Councilman Harris. And tomorrow I'm gonna do a brief moment before we get started in his honor. Also the two resolutions, the annex statement, your two requests. And I think that probably is it.
so we should have much to discuss.
No, we shouldn't have much to discuss, but I'm gonna email you first thing in the morning, the consent agenda. If there's any questions that you have, please get with me. And tomorrow, hopefully, we can just move forward, whatever we need to do. Also, I need to give this to the mayor. You know, we voted with the RDS at our last meeting for 1 year. These are a list of contracts that he definitely needs to sign. So I'll give it to Ms. Harris so she can forward it to her, so we can move forward with it.
Okay.
All right?
Thank you.